Good evening to all of you. I know you guys cannot speak because this will be more of a interaction over the chat. But then those who have already joined in, I see already around 15 people who have already joined in, and you are joined in early, which is a testimonial of the fact that you're eager to hear us on a Sunday evening. So if you guys can just maybe in the chat, why don't you let us know which location have you joined in from the city, which from where you joined in, whoever is from whichever city. You can just use the chat window and just type in your location. All of you who have joined in, Anita, Dinesh, Ivanshu, I see a lot of you who have joined in. You guys can hear me loud and clear, right? If yes, then please mention in the chat. It'll be helpful for us to know. Okay, so I was just mentioning, I don't know how many of you heard, I just wanted to welcome all of you, on a Sunday evening. If you guys can, in the meanwhile, uh, put into the chat, which city are you joining in from, so that we know, the diverse photographer friends of ours who are joining from different parts of India and probably abroad as well. Good evening, each and everyone who are present here today. On behalf of Honeycomb School of Creative Studies and Photostop, a warm welcome to all of you for this webinar on the eve of World Photography Day, which is tomorrow. Like I said, we wanted to do this. We celebrate this as a photography, eve. The reason being, a lot of you will be busy, so we thought let's do it when all of us are available. Today we are going to go all in full throttle into three different distinct genres of photography, I would say, with our two eminent speakers, showing you some magical moments and I would request that you please suggest, I would in fact suggest that please fasten your seat belts and let's start rocking. Before I get in, I actually thought, I should talk about a very favorite quote of mine, which is very close to my heart. And it says like this in quotes. I love photo because the best thing about it in sorry, I'll repeat it again. I love photo because the best thing about it is that it never changes, even when the person inside does. So just think about this: that you are taking a photograph. It's a moment that you have captured, and you see, even if people changes, situation changes, the photograph doesn't change. It's a very very deep statement. Before we get into the specifics, let me roll over a small video for us, all of us photographers, to feel special and celebrate the World Photography Day, which is tomorrow. Vinay, if you can just uh, share the video. And please use the chat to let me know when you see the video. It might not have a sound, but it's emotions. It is all about us. So please use the chat and tell me what do you feel. Like I said, please use the chat and let me know. Let us all know what do you think. I'm hoping. I'm sorry, the audio was not available, but I think pictures should speak uh, through the visual medium. So what do you all thought? Let me take 30 seconds to see what all of you are talking about. To me, it is like what Steve Jobs once said. The not the perfect ones, to the imperfect ones. So it doesn't really matter, whether you are a beginner in photography or an amateur or a professional or semi-professional. Doesn't matter. What matters is your passion, your attitude to click, to express, to visually talk about the story. So Yeah, so a lot of you are talking about specifics inside, but yeah, celebration of colors and images, absolutely right. That's something that I just wanted to quickly, uh, talk about. Hi everyone, my name is Mithun Prabhu. I am an IT professional and a passionate travel photographer myself. A lot of you would have known me in the past. I handled the PR and marketing for Photostop and Live Shots brands, which are owned by Honeycomb Creative Support, a 16-year-old marketing communication agency, which is based out of Bangalore and has offices in Mumbai and a virtual office in Hyderabad. We help all professional photographers and aspiring photographers, hobbyists to acquire knowledges in different areas of photography. We do print, and there's a lot of stuff. I will invite Sri to talk about it in a minute. We have been conducting several workshops, exhibitions, and seminars on photography and various other topics in various cities in the past. A lot of you who have been connected with us since the pandemic would know during the core COVID period, we had started with a brand name called as Reels of Wonders, and that's what we continue. This was in August 2020, exactly 4 years back, and we are not stopped since then. We have tried various genres, and this year, specifically in February, we also started conducting offline workshops and knowledge sharing sessions, as we call different classes for all of you patrons who have definitely attended. And I can see a lot of you are already there. For the past 4 years, we have hosted nearly 50 plus webinars, 10 plus workshop master classes, different genres, like I said, from astro to post processing, travel, macro, underwater landscape, and a lot of them. We have always been overwhelmed with the love that all of you have shown and the feedback that you have given, and we have tried to incorporate that. We have grown stronger and get all kinds of relevant content from time to time. Even today, as we speak, we had nearly 350 plus registrations, and already I can see a lot of you already into this webinar. Thanks very much. We plan to now continue with more sessions, and definitely we would want to hear your feedback on what all you want to hear. So that's why I said, please fill in the feedback form towards the end, and then we'll want to build a strong community of photographers and learn from each other. So that's the whole intent. And really thank you for taking time this Sunday evening and attending this webinar in very, very large numbers. We are absolutely delighted to host you. So before I get into both the speakers, their introduction, I just want all of you to look at your screen. We will be having two polls. The first one is coming up. We'll just have 60 seconds, not much. If you guys can, mark your choices. This, like I said at the start of the webinar, it will help both the speakers with the demographics. They would know where do we stand, all of the audience, because I'm pretty sure it will be a diverse audience. Vinay, if we can have the poll, please. So when you will get options, or you can just select one of them. Of course, you can't select multiple. So here is the question. How many of you in the attendees here have any experience in the field of photography? The choices that you are seeing in front of you is want to learn more, amateur, never tried before, or an expert or a professional. It doesn't matter if you do not know anything, please select whatever is closest to you. It's okay if you have only few years of experience or just started. Accordingly, please put across. We will probably take another 30 seconds. If any one of you are unable to see it in the poll, please let me know, or please let us know in the chat. But the question is, how many of you have any experience in the field of photography? Okay, last 10 seconds. Okay, we can close the poll. Okay, so it's as we can see on the screen, it's a very interesting mix. 40% want to learn more, amateur 34%, experts are 14%. Very good, five of you. Welcome. I think we should learn from you as well. And never tried before, four out of 35. So that's good to know. Okay, so Vinay, can we have the second poll quickly? You will get a second poll right now. You have to do the same. Select one out of those options. Yeah, here's the poll. Have you ever attended any of ours, which is Honeycomb Creative Studies, HSCS as it's called, any kind of photography courses, workshops before? Answer is a simple yes or no. You just have to say yes or no. Have you attended any of our workshops, photography courses, knowledge sharing seminars, whatever the names be? Have you ever attended any of those? And for all of your information, in the Q&A box, you will see, or the chat box, you will see questions being put across, as well as the team is already giving you some information. While you have time, please go through it as well. Last 10 seconds. The question is, have you ever attended any of our photography courses or workshops before? It is important for us to know how many of you are new who have attended regular patrons. 2020, we had a blast. We had lots and lots of people, of course, attending. It was a poor lockdown period. Like I said, we did a lot of different genres of photography. It was absolutely fabulous. Vinay, if we can close the book, please. Okay, let's see. Wow, okay. So 32% Shri are saying they have already attended, which is a good number. And it is expected. 68% no. So welcome those 68% people who have joined us probably new or heard us for the first time. Uh, that's good to know. Okay, so let me straight away jump into introduction. Dr. Sanjeev Managoli, we welcome you. He has been an avid wildlife photographer for last 1.5 decades. He is a trained naturalist, a wildlife enthusiast, and has traveled around the world for his passion in the nature photography, wildlife, as he photographer as he calls himself. If I honestly talk about his achievements, maybe we'll need a day or two to talk about because there is so much of things he has done despite his busy schedule as a doctor. He is almost 12 to 14 hours in his clinic and he just doesn't find time. But then he has been kind enough. He was, in fact, our first speaker in August 2020 when we did this first time when it was a photography week. But I will restrict, like I said, myself in the interest of time. Dr. Sanjeev has been earlier a professor in pediatrics in medical college and is now a consultant pediatrician at Cloud9 Hospitals, Electronic City in Bangalore. I'm delighted to welcome you, Dr. Sanjeev, on into this webinar on behalf of everyone. There he is. He's already on the screen, looking bright as ever. But hi, Dr. Sanjeev.
Thank you. At the outset.
Okay, let me also introduce. Yep, sorry. Go ahead, please.
No issue, no issue. Just carry on. Thanks.
Sure. No problem. So at the outset, also let me introduce Hema Narayanan, who is a professional photographer and has been a published writer from Bangalore. She is a graduate in photography from New York Institute of Photography, has been an engineer by education and an artist by choice. Very, very important. She has multiple distinctions in photography towards her merit. She has won many awards and recognition for her work. She's a licensed artist with Getty Images and Shutterstock, as you would a lot of photographers must have also used it. As a photography mentor, she teaches various genres in photography. She leads photo walks and leads Experience India photography tours within India. She's a travel junkie herself, a music buff, apart from all these things she does. Currently, Hema works as a consultant photojournalist with the Azim Premji Foundation in Bangalore. She is right now creating COVID-19 Chronicles short video documentaries which captures the experience of the frontline warriors pan-India during the pandemic. I am delighted to welcome you, Hema, on this webinar. There'll be a lot of other details, which, of course, she will share across, but I just wanted to introduce you, Hema and Doctor. The stage is yours for you to roll us through your Arctic expedition, please.
Okay. Can I share my screen now?
Yeah, please. So guys, like I said, Dr. Sanjeev will take you through his Arctic experience, the wildlife out there. He recently went there. All your questions, please keep them coming into the Q&A. Like I said, it will be taken towards the end. We'll go from there. Doc, you can definitely carry on. We can see your screen.
Yeah, good evening, everybody, and a big namaskara. As we celebrate the World Photography Day, I thank Honeycomb and Photostop to giving me this opportunity to come in front of you, speak a little bit of my experience that I've recently had to my trip to Arctic. Nicely highlighted here is lights, camera, and eyes. When we talk about lights, in Arctic, when I went, there is 24 hours light. There is no night. Arctic areas have 24 hours of day in their summers. Cameras I carried I used Canon gears. I carried my 600 mm, 300 mm, 7200, a 50 mm, and a wide angle. But believe me, I will show you majority of my photographs which have been taken by the humble camera phone. So if you have a camera on your phone, a decent one, you can do a lot of justice to. And ice, there is only ice, ice, and ice everywhere in Arctic. Because unlike South Pole, which has mountains and rocks, North Pole is completely made of ice. And that is going to be our take-home message today. The more the global warming, we won't have any North Pole anymore. It will be all water, no ice, and there won't be any geographic North Pole. There will be only what is left is called as the magnetic North Pole. With this, let me start. A lot of people started asking me, you're going to Arctic, what is exactly North Pole? We don't go for expedition to North Pole. There are countries and lands around North Pole from where we can enter into the areas close to North Pole. I made my entry into the North Pole from Norway. From Oslo, we flew to a place called as Svalbard. So Svalbard is the closest group of islands to the North Pole. From Oslo to Svalbard, we landed in a place called as Longyearbyen. Now, these are all very funny names. When I initially planned to go there, even these were all very new names to me. People didn't even know what is Svalbard. People didn't know what is Longyearbyen. But once I am there, I found out that it is such a lovely and a different planet altogether. Now, these are the small islands near the North Pole. This is the northest island that is the closest to the North Pole. And this is the only city, the Longyearbyen, you see here. In this is a small rock formation of islands, which is completely covered with ice around. And you see these small systems, the crevices which are going into these islands. These are called as fjord systems. So in these fjords is all the wildlife and everything that we are talking about. In majority of the times in the winters, it's all ice. In summers, it little opens up, and that gives us the opportunity to enter inside these crevices, or what is called as the fjord systems. And you see the city Longyearbyen where we landed. Our journey started from Longyearbyen, and we kept traveling through this to the northest possible point, because you cannot take your ship further because there is everywhere ice. As the summers keep increasing, the ice keeps melting, and it gives us more way to proceed further north. Now, our photography started the moment we were in the flight, and these are the photographs taken from the flight. This is the beginning of the Longyearbyen, and this is the quaint city of Longyearbyen where we landed. A very small, quiet place, a population of 1,000 people, and maybe there are another 1,000 tourists always. The most north human colonization, which is the closest to North Pole, is called as Longyearbyen. Now, this is the beautiful, I've never seen any scenic runway than this, what I saw in Longyearbyen. Surrounded by beautiful, beautiful scenic mountains, snow-cladded, and the temperature was they call it summers, but it was very, very chilly. This is the nice, beautiful, colorful city of Longyearbyen, where we stayed for a couple of days here because there's a lot of things to do in Longyearbyen itself. And these are the nice mountains around Longyearbyen. These are the small shopping complexes around. These are the houses. And why I put these photographs is they have a very colorful living. You see, the food is very photogenic. I didn't put photographs of the food. Whatever they sell, they present to you, whether it's food, spirit, housing, bedding, everything is extremely, extremely nicely done. On the back, what you see is there are fences there, and they avoid a snow avalanche whenever there are winters, particularly, and snowy winters can sometimes with storms, you can have these. So these are some unique things, very simple hotel buildings, but from inside they are extremely, extremely cozy. This is the place where we stayed, and this is the small rivulet behind our stay. And these are the small houses that you see. And this is all the population of the city called as Longyearbyen. This is the Longyearbyen River. And this is why the city is called as Longyearbyen, because it is on the bank of this river called as Longyearbyen. Two buildings I would be talking about before we launch into the real wild. This is the museum building of Longyearbyen, one of the most sought after buildings. The people love to see this. They spend 2 days here. There's a lot of culture, history. If you people get any time, please go through the history of Longyearbyen, and you will be loving to go and stay there for a couple of weeks at least. This is the second very important building, and this is called as the Global Bean Vault. Now, all the different seeds or the seed vault. So these different seeds all over the world have been stored into this building. This building goes 400 meters deep inside, and all are stored at a -degrees, so that tomorrow, because of famine, because of any world war, because of any Holocaust or anything, if we lose all our, or there is a gene change or anything, we lose all our seeds, we can get our seeds back. The Indian seeds too were there. So you can get all your seeds back, and you can again start cultivating from zero. So this is one of the very important building I thought I should share with you. And there are hundreds of such other things we can do here in Longyearbyen itself. Now, Longyearbyen is just not all these things. See, around 90% of the tourists to visit Longyearbyen, they basically visit for tourism. There's a lot of other things to do, right from terrain bikes to husky rides to, you name all the winter sports you are not able to do at any other place, you can do it here. But the other 10% of the people only come here for wildlife photography or the polar expeditions for the polar wildlife. And polar wildlife basically means that we are going in search of polar bears. Now, Longyearbyen city itself has a lot of wildlife, and particularly the birds. Now, this bird, in summers, you have a lot of flowers that bloom around because all the snow melts and these flowers just come up. At least 20-30 types of small, nice bushes come up. And this is one very beautiful bird called as snow bunting. These are all birds, mind you, they stay at -20 to -40 very easily. Partridge, which is not commonly seen there, but it's common in Arctic region, and this is called as rock ptarmigan. It is one of a very beautiful and very difficult to shoot birds. A goose. This is a Barclin goose, which is very common there, and one of the best and the favorite bird of mine, and that is the Arctic tern. If you people know, Arctic tern is one of the distant migrating bird. It migrates from South Pole to the North Pole and North Pole to South Pole in 1 year. It is the bird which migrates maximum. And what you see right now is again a nice bush, and this is called as champion moss, on which around it nests and perches on them. And here it's shaking its head after catching a fish. So this is one very important and beautiful bird. If we don't have Arctic, we don't have these. A pink-legged goose. And I'm not showing a lot of pictures of birds because we have a lot of other things to do, and we have to meet the king of the Arctic, the polar bear. So I'm cutting short all my birds, and let us straight away jump into the polar expedition. This is my ship in which we went, and this is a very small ice maneuvering ship, and this its name is MV Villa, and it can accommodate 12 photographers. So we were 12 of us like-minded people who, after Longyearbyen, 3 days of Longyearbyen, we jumped into this and we launched ourselves into the Arctic. This, you can see that this ship is completely surrounded by ice. So it maneuvers itself through these big icebergs, and it is normally all the tourists will go in big luxury launch like things which carry 200 people and something like that. And those ships cannot maneuver into the small fluid systems, and we normally like to go close to these systems to in search of the wildlife. So these are more of a, it was like for us 12 friends, it was more like a chartered ship, and we had around 10 crew members who were always at our service. And there's literally 24-hour service because there is no night. So every 24 hours, and majority of the times, whenever we put blinds and we try to sleep, that is the time when we get a call, there is a polar bear, and we rush. So forget your sleep when you are in polar region. This is the ship, and you can see how the landscape is. So these are the small ices that are breaking from the glaciers, and they are moving around, and our ship has to go through these. These are the big icebergs. Can you, if note, just behind the iceberg, there is a zodiac in which the people are standing, and behind them, just in front of the ship, is that zodiac. And this is how we launch ourselves from the zodiac. You see the yellow thing is the lift. They put the zodiac down in the water. We climb twice every day at least. We would do a zodiac trip to a place where we expect some wildlife. So it is chilly out there. It's really very, very cold. The breeze, the wind factor is horribly cold. It's very, very difficult shooting in those with your cold fingers. And you're trembling sometimes. You can't stay out in the zodiac for more than 2 hours, because then the cold starts seeping in your bones. So this is how you carry your gear, sit in these shaky, wobbly zodiacs, and you have to shoot in those harsh conditions. But believe me, this is an experience, nobody can complain. These are the size of the icebergs that float next to you. You can see at the backdrop, there is our ship. Now look at the size of the iceberg. Though it is in the background, still you can imagine what would be the size of icebergs which are floating around you. Now, one more thing that you normally see there are the glaciers. Every now and then, maybe every kilometer or 2 kilometers, you find a big glacier. Now, what you're seeing right now is a glacier. And right in front of the glacier is the MV Bala ship. Now, you can just imagine the size of the ship and the size of the glaciers. They are big, magnificent glaciers every now and then. And some of these are the places which have a huge amount of wildlife. Now you can see, these are the photographs. These are the landscapes you can make. You can put some sky in that. You can use some glaciers, floating ice. And what I want to highlight here is all these photographs till now, whatever I showed, have been taken by the mobile phone. So even your mobile phone photography, if you don't have a camera, DSLR, start with your mobile phone. You can start from your terrace, you can start from anywhere, start from your street, as next genre is going to explain you about that. But even anything that comes to your hand and you see something beautiful, you should be ready in your mind to click it. These are all taken. The foreground, it's a very old or impregnated ice, and you see the sky and the glacier rock. Similarly, once the glaciers, sometimes they melt, break with big thud, then small pieces of ice, they spread around and they give you this chance to shoot something like this. These are the beautiful icebergs. There are thousands and thousands of things you can keep shooting. Now, this is shot by a SLR. So what I'm trying to say, mobiles have done a better job sometimes. The landscapes can very nicely be shot with mobiles also. Now, this is what is called as a ice wall. Now, what you see here is a big ice wall. And see, I was talking to you about the ships which carry 200 or 400 people or 100 people. There is a big luxury cruise on the back. And although it's little far, but still you can compare the size of the ice walls. The ice walls are amazingly large. They are like mountains of ice, huge mountains of ice. And the photographs definitely don't do justice. But when you are there, you experience real feel of that ice wall. Now, coming to one very important habitat of Arctic, and this is what is called as sea ice. If you see, there is a thin layer of ice, a very thin layer of ice. Sometimes what happens is in very cold winters, our lakes get a crisp layer of ice on the top. The sea ice similarly becomes like this in Arctic region. All the ice in winters becomes somewhere sea ice or ice and slowly melts to form thin layers like this. And the importance of this is, although it looks very thin and crisp, it is the biggest habitat for seals, what we are going to talk very soon. There are 3 different kinds of seals, and which commonly are there. They very easily, they stay here, and that is their habitat. And the giant polar bears, they also very easily walk on this and maneuver on this. And this is one more image of a glacier. These are the ones which have been shot by the DSLRs. So I just wanted to show you one thing. The ice walls are so massive. Now, again, I'm saying this in case we have time and we launch our video, I will show you. This is a massive fall of water, which is coming from a massive uh, ice wall. But the photograph shows like it's a trickle, but it's a big, massive ice wall and a big fall that is happening. So this is one more. And why it is important for us is because around the waterfalls, we have a lot of birds. Around the waterfalls, since the birds are there, other animals come. Since the animals come, the bird droppings happen. The fishes come, the seals come there, and then the polar bear has to appear from somewhere for the seals. Now, this is one of a typical glacier. You just look at the way the glacier is breaking up. Now, these glaciers have been there for millions of years now. And in last 2 centuries, it's said that they have broken down to 50% of what they were earlier. Millions of years old, and you see the cracks, and anytime these pieces are going to break, fall, and they are going to come to us. Not now, a few years later. So all the water, what is rising in our seas right now is because of breaking of these glaciers in the Arctic region. You have many massive icebergs. You have rocks at some places, but majority of the Arctic region is without any land. Now, what we discussed earlier was the land birds. Now, what I'm going to talk to you about is the seabirds. If you see this, the Arctic birds, they are uniquely adapted. All the birds, for them, they are perching on the ice as if they are perching on a tree or a rock. If you see these birds, now I will start with a very unique experience we had. This is called as a bird cliff. Here, a bird called guillemot. There are 60,000 pairs of these birds here. Each, if you see, they are all small brackets everywhere, and it looks like a busy, heavy apartment of birds. So this beautiful place we went, and there was a cacophony, and there's so many birds around. It was so difficult. I don't know how to shoot this. And only thing I could shoot this is with my mobile phone. Now, these are the birds which are flying. These are the guillemots, what I said. And from a close-up, you can see a little thicker version of sea ice, what I explained to you earlier. And this is the bird guillemot. There are 2 types of guillemots which we came across. One is a black guillemot, and the other is Bruich guillemot. So this almost looks like a penguin to me sometimes, but this is the one we are talking about. And these are the ones from the colonies. And in colonies, what happens is these guillemot babies, they keep tripling and falling. And once they trip and fall, the Arctic fox and the other gulls, they come and attack them, and they try to get their food. Now, this is the one. This beautiful bird is one of the second largest gulls in the world, glaucous gull. This glaucous gull, the moment the chick fell, the guillemot chick fell in the water, it immediately pounced on it and it took it on the side. You can see there is ice everywhere, and it will take to an area where others can't see, and it will start ripping it off. So wild is really wild sometimes, whether it is land or ice. You will find a lot of. I never thought there would be a colony of 60,000 pairs in a place like Arctic. Now, same thing here. This is the glaucous gull, and these are the chicks. And just see how they are openly, because the number of the prey killers, the number of the animals preying them is so less that they usually safely nest in open. This is the subadult of the glaucous gull. Now, coming to other seabirds, these are very fasty birds. They are very rigid, and they can tolerate any temperatures, -40, -60. In winters, they can be, the temperatures are extreme, and these birds, right now, you can see them comfortably sitting on the ice. This is called as an Arctic skua. So these are extremely rare birds. Some of the skuas, the birders may be knowing how difficult it is. We have to go deep into the sea to find them. And in unfortunate part around the Arabian Sea, the Asian skua that we see are usually perched on waste or on thermocols. So this is a pure pristine environment that I visited, where not a single drop of dust was seen or a net was seen anywhere. Now, this is how they perch. I showed you the snow wall. Now, if you see the snow wall, if we go close, you will see the wildlife. So these are called as the black-legged kittiwakes, and this is how they stay on those ice walls. They go down, wherever the waterfalls are there, or wherever a river is coming from beneath, there a lot of nutrition comes, and these survive on those nutritions. This is a kittiwake. Now you can very easily see how comfortably it is sitting on a glacial ice. Now, one of a lottery this time for us was a very rare gull called as the ivory gull. This is an ivory white gull, and not very easy to find. We were a little blessed this time to have some good sightings, and this is one of them, ivory gull. Again, you see, it's not on a tree or a rock here. It is all on ice. Being on ice and finding these animals, birds on ice is really a different experience altogether. Now there is one very beautiful bird called as a falma. These are called as northern falmas. And if you see carefully, there's a small hole on above the beak. So basically these drink water, collect the plankton, and then they throw off the remaining water from the nose. And it's almost like a desalination plant. They drink that water, but they make sure that the Arctic Sea salt is again given back to the Arctic Sea. Now, the most favorite bird of mine, and this is the bird called as puffin. The puffins are basically not the Arctic birds. They stay somewhere around the islands of Great Britain and in some other adjoining altitudes. But the most northmost colony of these birds are seen in Arctic. A few of them, they are there. Finding them and shooting them was such a pleasure. They are a comic. In each creature here is a comic in itself, and this is the Laurel and Hardy of this bird group. So this is the one, and they are very, very beautiful and very, very nice looking birds, and it's a pleasure to shoot them. The only thing is bit shy getting close to them in a moving zodiac, and when they are in the waves also are going up and down. Getting a perfect shot may sometimes take a toll. You feel very chilly, and then when you get this, you are again warmed up. Now, the only herbivore normally we come across in Arctic region are the reindeers. Now, reindeers are one of the most important herbivores there. They control the weeds, they control the grass in that area, and they again can be sometimes very important prey base for the polar bears. Now, these are the herbivores. This particular shot was taken in Longyearbyen, and they are the lifeline of the herbivore lifeline of Arctic region. Now, I was talking about the Arctic fox, which was invading the fallen chicks at the bird cliff. Now, these are the fox. If you see this, they are molting right now. This Arctic fox right now is at the base of the bird cliff. And if you see, some of the white patches of fur are still there on it. The rest is molted. In winters, they are completely white, snowy white. Now, in summers, I went in July. So this is the time when they are shedding all their. Now, this is the one in the snow. And as I said, we were this year blessed with a lot of good sightings. And this is a melanistic fox, very rare. Only 3% of the foxes in Arctic region are melanistic. And this is called as the blue fox. So we were lucky to find a blue fox at the base of this one of the bird cliffs. Now, one of the most important animal in Arctic region are seals. Now, why the seals are important is because they are the most important prey base for polar bears. And why they are important are because of their fat content. The polar bears normally will feed only on the fat, and they normally leave the muscle and the bones to the other animals like fox and other animals. Seals are therefore very important because polar bears thrive on seals. If there are no polar bears, if there are no seals, there are no polar bears in future. And if there is no ice, there are no seals in future. I told you about the sea ice, a thin, crisp layer of the ice on the sea, which is called as sea ice. And you can see a massive seal resting so comfortably on that thin layer of the ice. And they walk, they swim, they very easily manage maneuvering themselves around this thin, crisp layer of ice. Now, this is a glacier. And in front of the glacier, there is a glacial ice. And in glacial ice, you can see what is called as a bearded seal. A close-up of a bearded seal, and there it goes. And one more word about this. This is called as a polar plunge. So one of the activity that normally all the people do when they go to the Arctic region is taking a polar plunge. So all my teammates, they took a polar plunge, but I didn't take, because I wanted to show you this photograph. I thought I would not come back if I take a polar plunge. It's quite cold, icy water, and all the people, they take the polar plunge and get a certificate that they have taken the polar plunge in the most northeast region they reach near the pole. Now, one of the most important and the keystone, they call it as a keystone species of Arctic, is walrus. Walrus are massive animals, 1,000 to 3,000 kgs. And they are very beautiful, comical, difficult to click. Now, why they are difficult to click is because they are so lazy, they don't move. You may be standing next to them for hours together and they may not move. All they will maximum do is they will just lift their head, burp, or they may badly fart, and they may just little turn to a side. And the moment they are scared, they will all within seconds jump into the water. In one of the videos, if in the video that I am going to share later on, you can see the moment we try to approach them, they straight away jump into the water. So getting them is very easy. Photographing them is very difficult. Now, I told you there are three ways of shooting from in Arctic region. One is on foot. So there are some walrus colonies where our ship gets anchored and we get down into the Zodiac. We go to the land with special boats. We walk towards them and we are on land with two people. They are looking after the any sign of polar bears. We have to be very safe. The polar bears are the most dangerous animals in this world. There is nothing called as a man-eater polar bear. Whatever comes in the way of polar bear, it may be you, it may be any other animal, it may be a small bird, it may be a big mammal, the polar bears will not leave it. For them, everything is food. Because they live in such a harsh condition, they will definitely eat anything that comes to their hand. Now, these are the beautiful polar bears in different habitats. I have talked about these different habitats to you already. These are the female polar bears, and this is the baby and the cub and the mother, and this is a colony of females. The walruses have a very unique way of staying together. The females, they colony together, and the males, they colony together. Only during their courtship only they meet, and then they again go away. And one of the most important why they are called as keystone species is there is large amount of claws in the base, and they survive on that. They don't have teeth, they have only these two tusks, and these two tusks are basically to fight or to maneuver themselves. They dig it into the ice and they pull themselves up, and they open up the shells. They open up the shells with the strong suction through their lips. So this is how they do it. Now this is a male walrus, and believe me, it's a massive thing. And this is the typical glacial ice on which the female colonies, the subadult female colonies, perching and looking at us. Now, coming to the king of Arctic. When we go to Arctic expedition, our main aim is to shoot polar bears. Whenever we talk about going to Svalbard, we only think about one thing, and that is polar bears. Polar bears, like our tigers, you may visit a tiger sanctuary, you may come back without any sightings, or you may come with some good sightings also. It's very unpredictable. Same is with polar bears. And it's such a huge habitat. Searching for them, finding them is very difficult. There is nothing called as a territorial polar bear. You cannot find them in a particular territory. They keep moving because they have to search for food. There is no food. They have to keep searching all the time, and they have a voracious appetite. So they keep searching for whatever they can get. They will eat a carcass, they will kill fresh, they will eat a small bird, they can kill a big animal, whatever comes their way, they will kill it. So this is the first sighting, and the luckiest part for us is we were a very lucky team. I told we were blessed. We got around 10 polar bears, which is actually quite a big number in a single trip. So this is how we started. We launched our MV villa, and within 4 hours of our launch from the Longyearbyen, and this was our first sighting of the polar bear. And this is the mother and the 2 cubs. This is shot from the ship. They were too far, so then we had to launch our Zodiacs and go near them. Earlier I showed you something. Initially we thought that okay, Gloucester's girls, they nest on open and nobody can prey them, but the king can pray anything. Now, the babies were not able to, this is quite a tall cliff here. The polar bear very easily climbed climbed these cliffs. This mother climbed there and she's eating a chick. And then the chick fell down, the other chick. It went behind it. So this was a great experience to start with. And these are the mother and the cubs that I was talking about. Then this is shot from the Zodiac. We launched the Zodiac. We sat in them and tried to go whichever possible distance was closest. We went up to that and we started shooting them. Then it started moving towards some rock formations. You see similar pattern. This reminds me of some rocks in Ladakh. The backdrop is similar to Ladakh backdrop, and it gave us a lot of opportunity to shoot a lot of pictures. It kept looking at us from the top. Where was our Zodiac going? Because it was worried about its two cubs. Now, for next 4 days, we did not have any sightings. Then on the 4th day, suddenly early in the morning, we were told that there can be a polar bear. There's some movement, and from around 2 miles away, one of the spotters are amazingly good. With the binocs, they were able to spot the polar bear. Little looks yellowish. It's not white. It is little off-white or yellowish, and some yellow dot movement was there. And then we launched ourselves because this was our greatest opportunity to shoot polar bear in ice along the ice wall. So we launched ourselves in the Zodiac and went, and this is what we got. We got a nice big male polar bear next to a big ice wall on the glacial ice. Now, this is the wall, and you can understand how beautiful this animal is. Look at it. It's like, although we feel like going and hugging it, my daughter said she wants to go and hug it, but I know how dangerous they are. This photograph I particularly put to show you that if you see the polar bear is wearing earpods. They are not exactly earpods. So they are the tracking sensors. Some of these polar bears are tranquilized, and they have been fitted with these sensors, GPS sensors, to study. There are a lot of studies that are going on polar bears. So this is one of those. And you look at it. It posed for us like crazy. So we had to leave this. Then it went into a siesta, and we had to leave because we were also very cold. We stayed with this polar bear maybe for some hour or so, and then we had to leave it. It was chilly cold there. Now, from the ship, then we got a news that there was some movement in the rocks, and we were not able to find out anything. And we could not find out initially anything because this was one of the most camouflaged polar bears. And why I'm showing you this picture is this was a polar bear. We had a tough time when it didn't move. We had a tough time to sight it because it looks as good as the rock behind it. And once we got it, it got up and it started moving. Then we were surprised to see a brown polar bear there. Now, actually, this is not a brown polar bear. The polar bear had found a carcass. Maybe would be a old whale carcass or something, where it went inside the carcass and all the pigments are stained on its body. Now, what happens is, if you know, Arctic region is all minus, and there is no degradation there. So all the animals which die, they are graved into the ice, and later on when it melts, the carcasses, they come up, and these polar bears feed on them. So if it is a big animal or a carcass or a big carcass of whale or something, the polar bears, they are so big that the polar bears will enter into them. And this is what happens when they enter into them. They become dirty and they are pigmented everywhere. And this is one of the shot I would like to show is because...
Doc, I'm sorry. Just wanted to remind you 10 more minutes.
Yeah, I will finish in 5 minutes. Okay. So this is the backlit image of the same polar bear to give you a different perspective. And surprises happen when you are in any wildlife area. Now you can see this. This is shot from the ship. These mother and cub, they came swimming next to us. They just swam next to our ship, and sometimes we keep searching for them, and sometimes they come very close to you. Now you see this. This is one of the greatest images I made in this trip. There was a walrus colony, and we were supposed to land on this walrus colony. But then suddenly one of our spotters saw a polar bear and said that we cannot land on this because we are normally land on this, and we walk towards the walruses and click them. But there was a polar bear, and it walked towards the walruses, and it was looking. This is a male walrus colony. They are massive, massive giants. Though the polar bear just went, it was trying to see if there is anything specific which it can eat. And it could not find anything. It was disheartened. And this is the polar bear and the massive walruses behind it. So what all it could do is drink some water, eat some kelp. Kelp is a sea algae it's a very important protein and a mineral food for these polar bears. So it had this and it moved away. So this is a beautiful backdrop that you see. And Arctic, again, I'm saying the still photographs don't do justice to what you see with your eyes. The next polar bear, we have almost seen 8 polar bears right now. What I have shown you are 8 different polar bears right now. This is the 9th polar bear. And if you see in the right corner, there is a carcass of a walrus. And this was a polar bear which was trying to feed it in water, which was impossible for it because walrus skin is quite big, quite thick, and it's difficult for it to cut. Now it actually initially went off. Later on, it came back to eat the thing. But by the time it started opening and eating, another polar bear, a larger polar bear than this one, came and pushed it away. And this is the one which sat there and started eating the walrus carcass. This is the way they eat the carcass, and this is the way they eat the carcass. So the king of the Arctic, it gave us ample opportunities. We were blessed to have some great sightings, and having great sightings helped me to share my experience with you. They are very cute teddy bear looking animals. At the same time, they're as dangerous as anything. Now, coming to the last part of my presentation is the tricks. So when you go, I was supposed to talk some technical aspects also, since I know a lot of the people have joined recently and not all are interested into the tricks, but let me show you something. We went to a place in a glacier called as I just forget the name. It was quite a big glacier, and there was a sea underneath which was coming out near the glacier, and that provides a lot of minerals for the birds to come and eat. And there were thousands and thousands of kittiwakes which were bombarding on that, and it was so difficult to shoot them. So we decided to do some slow motion photography, and this is what we did. If you see this creative thing here, we have shot it at 1/60. When you shoot it at 1/60 at f22, this is the effect you get. The second thing is we just increase the shutter speed a little. But if you see in the front, there's a very rare gull called as a Sabin's gull, and in the backdrop you see the kittiwakes which are sharp and in focus, and the top there, the ones which are flying are showing a shutter movement, slow shutter movement. So this was shot at around 1/100 of a shutter speed. Now, coming to a little crisp and sharp image, you have to increase your shutter speeds. So by increasing the shutter speed here, I mean, I have increased it to 1/1000. So when you increase the shutter speeds with different shutter speed experiments, you can get different effective creative ways of creating some images. Coming to the last, when at one place we were able to land near a walrus colony, and we were not able to do anything there because they were not moving at all. So this is what we did. Any small movement, anything we could get, we tried to shoot in a different way, more different way. And what different could we do with a polar bear? It was just eating and it was just moving. So we did something again different. We kept waiting till it went to the horizon, and then we were able to shoot a silhouette. So silhouettes also are one important part of wildlife photography. So I've covered 2 or 3 important things that can create an image. Sometimes when you don't get an opportunity, sometimes it goes dark. You can always use some of the other methods, particularly the silhouette. Making silhouettes is a very important way to do it. Now, coming to the last part of my presentation, I have been telling you repeatedly, what I saw is whatever little heat we produce today in our city, it can be anywhere, in our country, in our continent, or anywhere around the world. Any small degree raise is going to lead to this. This is called as calving of a glacier. The glaciers are breaking and falling down. Majority of them, they are not supposed to break with this speed, which they have not broken for millions of years. I have been breaking in last couple of decades. So a fast thing is happening right now is what is called as global warming. And today, my take-home message for all of you is, whatever small effort, you all are experts about nature, whatever small way you can help, please try to see that you don't add your footprints to global warming. Thank you so much. Mithun, can you launch the video if possible, if time permits?
Yeah, we will. Definitely. So folks, I don't have words, Doc, to tell you, what all has been written in chat. I know you are more focused on showing the pictures, but it's just breathtaking. It's just beyond words right now. That's all I can say.
Thank you. But if you can watch the video, that is even more breathtaking. That is my experiment with the drone. I have not done any drone photography. My very close friends and my mentors, they have done the drone photography. Yashpal Rathod, one of the best creative photographers I know, he is the one who took the lead, and he was the lead of our team to Arctic. He made this small piece of video which we are about to share, and the drone photography. I just want to show you how different a still photography and a drone photography can make. We can. I was not allowed to do drone photography for two reasons. First thing is I didn't have drone. The second thing is you need a special permission from the governance of Svalbard to use the drones. So they don't give drone permissions to every Tom, Dick, and Harry. The only couple of people can use drone in the ship, and that was what given. And the biggest difficulty of flying a drone, try to understand, it doesn't stay in your control, because the magnetic field is so strong there, it doesn't listen to you. It will go and drop itself in the water. So with that difficulty, these people have made those drone images, and that's why I just want to show you that.
Doc, if you can just stop the share of your screen.
Okay.
You can just unshare. Stop the share, I mean.
Where is it?
Where you, on the top panel, you will see where you share, there'll be a red button called as unshare or stop share.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Vinay, if you can just roll over the video for everybody to see the breathtaking drone footage that he was talking about. Yeah, you can just go back. Yeah. Sorry, there's no sound right now in this, but like I said, please go through the video.
This is how a glacier looks from the top. And I was talking to you about this waterfall. If this is the big glacier, you can see these glaciers are basically frozen ice, frozen river. And this is how our ship went into. This is how we go in zodiacs around the ice. Ice everywhere. And you keep the boat keeps wobbling. Now you can understand how shooting in zodiac is so difficult. This is the one walrus wala. This is our first sighting where the mother and the cubs have been walking. And this is what I told you, how they jump into the water the moment they see you. And this is the cliff, the bird cliff I was talking about. And this is my cutest bird, champion mouse. And you can see how the zodiacs move. The sheer size of the ice. And this is the this is the kittiwake colony that I said, thousands of them. It was just beyond imagination. You cannot imagine. I never thought I would see this in my life. Sometimes you come across whales. We're not very lucky with the whales. And the most north part, we have a party. It was a party every day, breakfast party, lunch party, dinner party, 24 hours party. And this is the polar plunge I was talking to you about. And we celebrated the presence of India there. Thank you.
Wonderful, Doc. Like I said, I don't have words. Manish, I see you writing as ice ice baby. You know that is exactly the word I also wanted to say, Doc. Although it's not that cold right now in Bangalore, but I'm actually feeling the chills, of the Arctic out here. And I had guaranteed all of you, for those of you who had reached out to me, what is Doc going to talk about? That this is going to be mesmerizing. I know 45 minutes is very less for him to do justice. We will be soon getting him to talk about it, all this in a little more details when he gets a little free into a separate session, which will be more talking about the techniques, details, and all that stuff. So stay tuned for that. But that's at a later point in time. Doc, I have had a lot of people visiting Arctic, and this is simply the best that I have seen till now. I think.
Thank you. Quite flattering.
It is not flattering. You can while we pass the baton now to Hema, you can look at through the chat. You will see it for yourself. I'm not flattering at all. It's what people are talking about. Our patrons. Thanks very much, Doc. We will take the questions towards the end. Please type in your questions into the Q&A box and not into the chat, because chat is a running flow. It gets a little difficult to pick up from there. So please use the Q&A. There's a question mark there. Please use that chat box for typing the questions. Like I said, towards the end, we will definitely pick up. And before I hand it over to Hema, I also want to tell you, all of you, which I missed at the start, is we have a free giveaway that's coming pretty soon. Stay till the end, and I will talk about it. There is details that team is already sharing over the chat. Please look into the chat and do those necessary actions. Staying till the end is what it is, and like a lot of you have written, not just the Arctic, but as a photographer, patience is definitely, that's something that all of us need to have. So stay till the end, and I will talk about it. Thanks, Doc. Thanks for your amazing presentation. And I'll just request Hema, if you can come onto the screen and talk about now a completely different two genres that you are going to take us through your magical journey.
Sure. Thank you, Mithun. I'm just, first of all, going to say thank you to Dr. Sanjeev. I'm a travel buff, like you rightly introduced me. So my next destination definitely has to be so wild, I feel. So folks, thanks for joining in today, Reels of Wonders. What Dr. Sanjeev spoke about is very different from the two genres of photography that I'm going to be talking about. Mithun, when I just go on slideshow, just tell me if you're able to see it properly.
Sure, I will.
Yeah?
Yes, yeah, I can.
Okay.
All of us can, yes.
So everyone, happy Photography Day. Tomorrow it's a eve, but World Photography Day is always, celebrated with passion among photographers for a variety of reasons. I have many images to show, so please bear with me if I really, really go fast. And at the end of the session, we will take up some of the questions if you have. In my experience, and most of you who are, I noticed that some of you are amateurs, some of you are experts. Photography always has been an art of observation. It has very little to do with what you see in front of your eyes and everything to do with the way you see them. So a camera is just a device, like Dr. Sanjeev said. You can do some amazing images even with a smartphone. So on that note, I actually remembered one of the interviews that Honeycomb had with me a few years ago called Game Changers. In that, they had asked me this question about name your favorite genres of photography. And I remember telling them it was architecture and street. And I'll tell you why I must have chosen. So in architecture, what happens is we try to breathe life into something static, because everything you see is static. However, in street, everything you see is full of life. So we're trying to freeze it to make it static. So do you see the difference between the two? In one of them, in architecture, everything is static and your images have to bring life into it. However, in street is the opposite. So I like the contradiction, the contrasts these two genres, provide to a photographer. They are challenging and yet quite rewarding. So folks, the way I'm going to proceed from here on is I'm going to take a first set, maybe since I have 45 minutes with me, maybe around 20 minutes focus on architecture, and then another 20 minutes on street. I hope I can show all that I want to show you all today. So my talk is titled Concrete Canvas, Stories of Stones and Streets. I won't spend time introducing myself because Mithun has done a good job of it. But one thing from this slide, which I want to emphasize, is that my camera used to be a device. So now it's become my companion. So folks, this is the background. I do many things in the space of photography. And, to get a finishing school, I completed a graduation from New York Institute of Photography. It's a 3-year course, pretty extensive, and it was quite helpful. Something for any of you there to consider. It's just a quick peek into things we do, workshops, walks, and photo journeys. Different magazines, journals I write for. Many in-flight magazines as well. So every time I fly, if I see a magazine in the front, I actually take them up and see what kind of articles they have and see if I can contribute in any which way. And finally, stock agencies, which many of you may have started to submit. Commercial shoots in some genres. I don't do fashion. Somehow it's not my cup of tea. On that note, this is broadly a quick rewind into my past. I'm fundamentally an engineer by education, but moved out into the creative space. I'll leave the social handles at the end as well, in case any of you want to get in touch with for anything at all. So finally, guys, before moving on, like Mithun was indicating, currently I work as a photojournalist with the Azim Premji Foundation, and I create short films. Before COVID becomes a distant reality, we said, why not kind of make short documentaries? I mean, it's a documentary, right? It talks about, there are a lot of warriors out there who have been forgotten. It's always about the front teams who gets the emphasis. So we thought, why not create short documentaries? So around 6 of them have been created from different states. And I'm working on the 7th and the last one, which is based on the education during the pandemic. And if any one of you are interested, leave me a note and I can forward those short. They're all very short, 15 to 20 minute sort of videos. So on that note, since we're talking about architecture and street, let me start with the architecture part. There's a beautiful quote which says, there are 3 visual forms of art. Painting is an art that you can see. Sculpture is an art that you can walk around. But architecture is an art which you can walk through. So basically, if this is Madrid Palace. If you see, you can actually walk through it. So that is the beauty of any heritage, that we can walk through it. So let's walk through some, shall we? So I just decided to present random architectural marvels, spanning from a 2nd century BCE to more contemporary dates, to something called a living monument, which I'll present to you later on. A monument that started long back in 1882, and it's still getting built. The first one, Ibrahim Roza. It's called the Black Taj. It's in Bijapur, dates back to 1627. And many people know about Taj Mahal, but very few people know that this monument was instrumental in the creation of Taj Mahal. The inspiration for Emperor Shah Jahan was Ibrahim Roza. Soon after Taj Mahal in 1632, Shah Jahan's grandson built Bibi Ka Maqbara. This is also in Aurangabad in Maharashtra. They call it the mini Taj or the Taj of the Deccan. It's a 1668 structure, very, very similar to how Taj Mahal looks. So if you were to see the Taj trio, the one on the left is Ibrahim Roza, the Taj Mahal, and Bibi Ka Maqbara. The cupola on the top has very, very high amount of similarity. I call architecture frozen music. And give it a thought as I show you some pictures. This is Belur and Halebeedu. The space that is being left on the top right and the left that you see is called the negative space. When we have extensive amount of architecture in any monument, for instance, Belur and Halebeedu, if any of you have seen it, it's got so many sculptings that if you completely fill it up with it, giving emphasis to a certain element becomes a little bit of a tricky thing. So breathing space is what we give, and that's what I mean by negative space. City of Udaipur, for instance, this is inside the Udaipur Palace, and you want to show the city, you can always use the sky to be the negative space and compose it accordingly. So in short, I want to emphasize that in photography, more than the device, it's the composition that one has to work upon. The technical aspects, I think people gain. 2 + 2 becomes 4 eventually anyways, right? But composition is an element that you need to learn over time. So I just picked a few images from Ajanta and Ellora caves. It's a heritage site in Aurangabad, one of the largest rock cut monastery temple complexes in the world, and one of my favorites, simply because it is a rock. It was a complete rock when the team that decided to sculpt found it, and they actually have dug into it from the top. So usually you sculpt at this level. They have dug from the top, and if you see the next image, if you see here, this is Ellora Cave. So they have basically sculpted from the top. So just think about how difficult it would be for a structure that dates back to 2nd century BCE. How hard and what kind of equipment they must have had. And if you see the people below there, they are so tiny, right? So you can imagine what sort of a height this structure really has. This is a large Buddha. Ajanta and Ellora caves have predominantly huge amount of Buddhist statues. And it's sometimes they're so huge that it kind of makes you think, how do you really capture them? And perhaps that's when a pano and a mobile phone helps. But all the shots taken here are using DSLR. Sense of scale. How does one know the size of a monument? Suppose I go to a place and I come back and say, look, I went to a large place. So when you want to bring in the magnanimity, you want to include something which is smaller in scale. For example, here it's the people. Again, this is Ellora Caves. Because the people are so small, you can understand how large the monument is. So sense of scale is an important element. So I've seen some photographers wait for other people to go away from, the space, which I consider it's not a great idea, simply because how else can you show how big an Ellora cave is? For example, have a look at this. I think it's one of the very breathtaking monuments of India. It's a UNESCO heritage site. Simply marvelous. If any of you have not visited, I would highly recommend you do. Pillars, big part of any structure for the primary reason, yes, of course, for foundation, but also it emphasizes consistency in architecture. And for architects, what happens is they use a pillar as their canvas. So they use it for either simple carving like the ones you see here, or the one that you see in this image where, they've used the pillars as well as the ceilings to narrate the story that they want to narrate. So I always think that any monument that you have traveled to across the world, you must have seen that the pillars and the ceilings have never been left alone. See, again here, it's a rock. It's very, very hard to sculpt into a rock, but nevertheless, they've done a phenomenal job. Age of the monument. When you say 2nd century, how do you really try to bring out the age of the monument in a photograph, correct? So textures help indicate. So this is a shallow dwarf or a blurred image emphasizing on one of the dancers, statue. And if you see her nose is being dilapidated, and the fact that you have done a close-up shot and the pores in the face of the Buddha clearly shows how dated this monument. Subtle deteriorations could be invasions, could be due to the age of the structure, and you compose in such a way. Again, this is a 2/3 rule and a 1/3 rule, and the composition is important when you do architecture. Keep in mind. Symmetry. Somehow the architects like the concept of symmetry for multiple reasons, and one of the reasons I believe is 1A, it gives a good balance for the structure, and 2, also because they can uniformly design. So most of the architectural elements in Ajanta and Ellora that you see have been, if you see here, this is precise. If you stood in front of the vertical one, for example, if you stood right in the middle of the Buddha and pointing it, it is exactly symmetrical. I don't know how they managed it way back, given that, we didn't have so many sophisticated instruments. 2 important elements or ingredients for a photographer: light and shadow. We all see light and shadow every day. Can we use them towards, capturing the images is what is very crucial. This is Daulatabad Fort, very close to Ajanta and Ellora, and early morning, golden hours. The fact that we have reached early morning is very crucial because we got elongated shadows, and I personally like this shot a lot. Light at the end of the tunnel, again, Daulatabad Fort. And one more, a complex, contrasting colors of yellows and dark browns. And if you see, it's the age shows, given that the textures are also visible. God is in the details, or do you agree or not? Something that you can leave in the chat for us to debate over later on. What I mean by is architects spend huge amount of hours, carving. So if you see the chain of the dancers on the right, so many details, right? So it is important to kind of capture them. I feel this image is a very 3-dimensional in approach. I like this image simply because it has this, up and down going. And usually we, as photographers, we deal with this 2-dimensional space. We always have flat images. So bringing in a 3rd-dimensional perspective is very hard for us. So it depends on how well you are positioned with respect to the angle or the position, as you call it. Again, talking of light and shadow, this is a temple in Bangalore. Intricacies show design elements. See, this is one of the palaces in Jaipur. Jaipur is filled with palaces. And when we talk about God is in the details, when we show expanses of a palace, a fort, for instance, a museum, also look for the minor elements. If you see on the left top of the left-hand side, that Jaroka, that is what is the image on the right-hand side. Yeah. Similarly, another structure where everything is blue. These are called Jarokas in Rajasthan. And the Buddhist monasteries, they artistically make doorknobs. So I have a big portfolio full of doorknobs. Wherever you go to any monastery, the knobs, they give very much importance to the knobs. This is in Ladakh on the left, and that's in Bailakuppe in Coorg. Nevertheless, see the grandeur of the knobs. Apart, framing is like how we talked about composition. Framing and composition go hand in hand. It's very important to, like the first quote said, what you see in front of you is not important. How you see it is what matters. For this image of Qutub Minar, which many of you may have attempted because everybody goes there, I had to sleep on the floor because that's how little or tall the arch was. And to be able to get the entire Qutub Minar within that arch, and in the technique called frame within a frame, was extremely hard. Wonder of Taj. Everyone goes to Taj. We usually see the cliched shot of a Taj Mahal with a reflection. I think these are cliched shots. So it's important to try and cut away from the monotonous shots and try to bring in a variation. And this is a side-facing shot of the Taj Mahal. And I personally think it's come out pretty well. Udaipur Palace, from the inside, using a frame, it's been the city of Udaipur has been captured. Kumbhalgarh Fort, I don't know if any of you know that this particular serpentine wall that goes around the Aravalli ranges, it's called the Great Wall of India, not China, of course. So it's massive and it goes all over the Aravalli ranges. Badami Caves from our very own Karnataka, Owl's View, as I would call it. So it's a beautiful place in the northern part of Karnataka. So just like you see the structure on the other side, there is one on the opposite side, and you basically have to climb up to get a little frame within a frame of the entire Badami area. So a little bit of agility also, photographers not only shoot, they also agile and physically fit. Like we were talking earlier, it plays an important role. How you angle your body, your camera, with respect to what you see in front of you helps in bringing out a varied dimension of your architecture. The one on the right, you see Mysore, is Chamundi temple. The bull is very small and the temple is very tall, but nevertheless, what you see here is totally the contrary. That's because you've done a bottom-up approach. Similarly, the one in Bangalore, it's a basilica in Shivajinagar. Srirangapatna skews, anything that you see with a wide angle. Wide angle lenses, as many of you may know, always brings in a skew, an exaggerated perspective, and sometimes they're good. It's okay to have exaggerated perspectives because it gives a different flavor to the same architecture. This is a particular mosque in Srirangapatna again. Kumbhalgarh Fort from the top. So while we're talking of bottom up, you can also do top down. And I don't use drones, so most of the shots you see and you will continue to see. For whatever have been shots from the top, you basically have climbed up. Silhouettes, as we all know, it's a little tricky to produce, but it's got a beautiful messaging. It conveys the shape, of course. It's little dramatic. It's got a lot of intense light. If you see the dark intense light at the back, and you also see the precise, it could be a human being, it can be, attempted with even people, but for structures, it comes out extremely beautiful. This is Shanti Stupa in Leh. See the colors of the sky, right? Different times of the day, of the evening hours, same Shanti Stupa, but a different timing has given a different hue. So silhouettes make an impact, clearly. So when you're shooting Shanti Stupa in the morning, also shooting it in the night and creating a silhouette gives you a great portfolio. And nevertheless, the reflections. Sometimes having, potholes in Bangalore and puddles in Bangalore is of great help because, you could capture some amount of reflections. This is Vidhana Sauda in Bangalore. And in Tamil Nadu, talking of reflections, I want to show you some images. It was pouring very badly the day I visited Darasuru. It's a beautiful temple, Chola dynasty, 1147. It's called Airavateshwara temple. And this is how you enter. And if you see this, the just stopped raining and could take advantage of the puddle in front. You see? So sometimes the overcast skies, which are already is something that we look forward to, including the well on the left-hand side, the reflections have come out so well. This is the interior of the same temple. Talking of pillars, Chola dynasty, they have 3 exquisite temples in that region. I'm sure some of you have gone to Tanjore. This is this another one. These 3 are called 3 sister temples. Simply exquisite architecture. So again, when you talk of, if you see on the right image, if you see the tree, if you see the line, they are straight. So it's very crucial for us to understand that you have to retain the vertical lines to be, vertical, not skewed. It can always be corrected later on, but not something we want to do. Why don't we do it right when we shoot? So please remember to ensure that your vertical lines are vertical. So these are some reflections of architectural marvels from India. So let me walk you through a few from outside India. This is another line which I particularly like. It says the architecture should speak of its time and place, but yearn for timelessness. This is Langkawi in Malaysia. This is called Sky Bridge. It's really, really, really massive, and you can actually walk on them. It kind of gives goosebumps and butterflies. But in order to shoot this without a drone was very hard. So climbing up the mountain was the only option. And this is the bridge on which people walked. Vatican City in Rome. And again, if you see the size of the people is so tiny. So this is where, the Pope gives his sermons and so on. It's a shot that anybody could get if they were to climb the topper part of it. So bringing in the soldiers, which if you see that the circumference of it has small little carvings, and those are the Roman soldiers, and that's the close-up of this. So what I'm trying to emphasize is that taking expanse is one bit, and also taking the close-ups of what that particular monument signifies is also equally important. It's about how you see photography. So this is a cathedral called Giles Cathedral in Scotland. The same one with a different perspective looks like this. And the statue of David Hume, who on the left-hand side, a poet, looks much larger than the Giles Cathedral, which is not at all the reality. So in short, always try to work your angles with respect to the monument. I think it's standing and shooting what you see is always an option, but it doesn't give you favorable images. Tower of London. This is the place where most of the prisoners in UK are kept and eventually, sent to death. Very sorrow-filled place, but the architecture is good. Symmetry at the Royal Baths in Alcazar in Spain. This is the Barcelona Cathedral. It dates back to almost like, I think, 12th century. Very beautiful cathedral. 12th to 13th century when it was built. Talking of ceilings, take a look. How much of the ceilings space have they left out? Not a wee bit, right? Everything that if you see the right-hand side, the entire story of the architect, the Kensington Palace, has been there. Every image that he has carved or painted narrates a story. So if you start from the left to the right, a story is being told. Similarly, Barcelona Cathedral, not many paintings, but they have done all the way. So ceilings are something that architects use widely. Madrid Palace. So folks, if you were to ask me how you shoot the ceilings, because you literally have to bend. So one of the ways you could do is do a settings, put it on a timer, keep it on the middle of, and keep it on the floor and then shoot. And that's the best way to do it, simply because that your lines are not skewed. If you hold it and bend, there's only so much you can bend. Explore the great indoors. See, this is St. Paul's Cathedral. This is a pleasant story. I'll take a second to explain. It's not really recommended to shoot inside St. Paul's Cathedral. There was a guard I went up to him and said, is there any way you could allow me to take one shot? He said, young lady, you could just go there. The moment I look at you and nod my head, you can take and but just one picture. So this was the choir. People do the choir and let me do one picture. And I think it's come reasonably well, along with the choir book. Inverary Castle in Scotland. There's a lot of grandeur inside these, just like our Indian heritage, but exposure can be quite tricky when it comes to the technical part. Staircases. Who said staircases are only for climbing? Are you all thrilled? It's Lord's Cricket Stadium, and to the left of this part is where our Indian contingent's dressing rooms are. And you see the picture of Ian Botham at the bottom. So staircase is a fantastic tool for any photographer when they try to shoot, because it kind of brings in a dynamism where the viewer feels like wanting to climb. So see, since we're talking of something static, right, and we're trying to breathe life into it, therefore we need to figure out what are some elements or tools you have in front of you to be able to do that. Patterns, infinite. So Wembley Stadium in UK, Lord's Cricket Stadium again. Patterns infinite. We're talking of the white seats and the place where the commentary box happens. It's a beautiful plugin, completely white with a green middle. So when you talk of expanse and you're not able to do with the widest angle of lens, pano is your only solution. So the next one which I wanted to highlight is a beautiful metro wooden wonder, which is a more latest one. Since I said I'll show you a couple of contemporary ones. This is in Spain. It's called Metropole Parasol, very recent. It's all 85 foot, and they consider it to be the largest wooden wonder. And when you actually climb up to the on top, this is a sort of site you see of the Sevilla. It's called Sevilla in Spain. The architecture is pretty daunting, and the way that they have used wood, and only the ends that where they tighten it up, they are the nuts and bolts. Rest everything is made of wood. I don't know how they sustain when rains pour down. So on that note, finally, the last bit of architecture, I wanted to just highlight a beautiful monument called Sagrada Familia. This is in Barcelona. It's called a living monument. As you can see below, it started in 1882 and it's still going on. It's just breathtaking because it's full of colors. Antoni Gaudí, who's an architect, he believed that color is the essence of life. So he's filled it up with colors, and he feels that, does nature really have straight lines? You look at a tree, does it remain straight? No. So it's always curved. So what Gaudí has done is designed the entire Sagrada Familia with curved lines. You hardly see straight lines in this monument. He says straight lines belong to men and curved lines to God. So let me choose what God likes. See, everything in here, be it petals, be it flowers, buds, butterflies, he's just chosen nature to depict his building. Perhaps that's the reason why the construction is still happening after 135 years. Very abstract designs, full of colors. You go there, you really don't want to step out, right? You just want to sit. You cannot shoot. You don't want to shoot because what do you shoot and how do you shoot? Nothing is art if it does not come from nature, is his belief. And I think he has done a fantastic job at creating this monument. He passed away many years ago and his disciples continue to do it. And he has Sudoku puzzles across the outside facades for people to wonder, why did he pick 33? Why did he pick 27? So there are reasons. Everything has an hypothesis as to why every facade has a certain number. So let's see, 2026 is what he has recommended that he would finish it. And let's see if he really does it. So that's a little bit of the reflections of, monuments across the world. I'm just checking on time. We're doing 7:30. So
yeah, we are good. 24 minutes.
Yeah, they're good. Okay. So this particular image, when I say reflections, this is in Cambridge, very close to the Cambridge University in London. I found it very interesting because the curves, the leading lines, as you call it, it converges to the left end. So that lines is another beautiful composition, as some of you may know. And the car had some amount of reflections. And as we already spoke about the negative space in the middle. So I think it was something that I like the play of light, shadow, reflections, and the negative space. So when it comes to architecture photography, sky is the limit. There is no dearth, anything and everything. Your home, for instance, can be a great place to start for those of you who are beginning. You don't have to really go far away to Taj Mahal to shoot architecture. So having talked about architecture and how we could really breathe some life, I mean, obviously, I can do a workshop for all of someday about how we can really work on compositions. But let's gallop into the streets and see what streets has in store. And remember, in streets, we have to try and freeze live, images as life happens. It's a golden hour. This is in Bhuj, one part of Gujarat. Early morning golden hours, and this is the late evening golden hours. So that was sunrise, and this was sunset. Folks, I think life happens on the streets. And this is my belief. I am a true lover of street photography simply because streets are where you find raw and unadulterated moments. You know, beg, borrow, or steal. You can never recreate a candid street image. I emphasize candid. See, I'm not talking of staged images. I'm talking of candid street image. It is very hard to go back to this place where this lady was doing this and recreate this image. Unlike architecture, we can go back to Taj Mahal and shoot. So that is the beauty of a street image. And as photographers, we are either choose to ride or we choose to walk, which means as a street photographer, we need to spend enough and more time on the streets. We get really, really tired. And for this particular shot where I was waiting for the camel to pass as the sun was setting so I could try and get the starburst, the one that you see as star is called a starburst, and with long shadows of his legs, almost 35 minutes of patience, right? So it is important for you to realize whether you want to walk the hall or you want to ride on a camel. But end of the day, it gives an amazing satisfaction when the 35 minutes was worth it. Streets stir a series of emotions in photographers. I'll just give a few seconds for you all to quickly run through it. And let me show you some images, and then I want to present a particular city as images. First one, happiness. This is a mother who is, taking care of her morning chores in Pushkar Mela, which happens in Rajasthan, while the kids are not, they're oblivious, right? They're kids. They don't know mother is working. So they're enjoying. And the morning hours and the way the dust comes off as she's sweeping it comes out as a brilliant image, as a early morning, golden morning shot. Laughter, a Hemis festival in Leh, even as the elderly monks are very serious, they want to do their festival and the rituals. The children, they don't really care, right? They're really not aware. So they share a small little laughter amongst themselves. Amusement. I personally like this image a lot. Is one of my students, we were doing a photo walk in one place, and one of the etiquettes that I tell my students is that, see, when we shoot people, we intrude into their privacy, correct? If you shoot me without asking me, you are actually intruding into my privacy. So the least we could do is maybe go and show it to them saying, look how good you look, or see how it's come out. So the lady on the left is so thrilled that somebody has come and a foreigner has come and is shot. So all the three people's expression is so amazing, right? They're all amused. Surprises. Two kids. Look at the, unadulterated innocence. The one on the right-hand side is Mariwala Market in Bangalore, and the one on the left is Bhutan. Simple abundance. Sometimes simple things give enough amount of pleasure. For example, the lady on the left, holding on to her grandchild. She is not worried about how little her house is or how little she has to eat. But the fact that the baby is sitting on her lap gives her immense joy. Similarly, the two children here, these are in City Market in Bangalore. This is their place where they sit when the mother is selling vegetables, and they don't seem to care. They're not worried about it. They have immense amount of joy. So I think the simple abundance sometimes doesn't come from big things, could be from a simple pleasure like this. Innocence, life. He sleeps on his own bag of onions. Livelihood. He's a weaver in Bhuj, and he weaves shawls, and that's the way he actually, earns money for his family of 5. And again, this is a converging line technique. Dilemma. This is an apt example for saying in street, a lot of action happens and you need to freeze it. For example, this is, I'm sure many of you have gone to Kambla festival. This is based in Bangalore. Bulls actually run and they fight, and one of them is a winner, right? So they fight, and it's a 100-meter stretch. So I'm literally standing. Everybody stands in the middle as the bulls fight and come towards you. So within a short span of 100 meters, as they run super fast, you need to be able to technically, at a high shutter speed, shoot this so that they are precise and sharp. So this is what I meant by in street, you have to make them static. Thrill, the slush, with such a thud, the owner and the two buffaloes run that the slush just comes out. And luckily that day there was a light from the background, and we got a glorious shot like this. I call it where the bulls rule. Theyyam in Kannur, another festival that many of us street photographers love to shoot. It's always done in midnight. The whole night is gone. This is a 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. shot. If you see the sky, a little bit of light is starting to come. It's a fire Theyyam. A lot of Theyyams happen, and this particular one is called fire Theyyam. Contemplation, or call it Incredible India, Colors of India. Festivity, you don't have to struggle too much. Just get on the streets of India anywhere you see something or the other cultural happening. This is talking of Ganesh Chaturthi, one of the Fraser town in Pottery, and that is Dasara, where a spitfire happens. So it gives us immense amount of opportunities when we get on the streets. This is realization. This is a slum in Viveknagar. I was doing a campaign for CRY about children, why children don't get education. And this child maybe is looking up and wondering, why am I unlucky? Why am I not getting a chance to get educated? Correct? Something in his mind. The fact that I chose to have the grills in the front, I could have chosen not to, but the fact that it is done, it is on purpose, because it seemed like the child is caged, or he's jailed, or he's constrained. Helplessness. The child with chickenpox, again in the same slum, was not wearing clothes because the mother thought that was the best way for the child to get cured. And she ran and draped herself in the curtain when she saw me. So, the feeling of helplessness. Grief. Sympathy. The last mile. Life goes on, right? So if you see the man in the left-hand side, on the right-hand side, sorry, he's looking into oblivion, the man from the top. So as this happens in Varanasi, people are carried to Manikarnika Ghat, which is what I'm going to present next, a great place for us to do some fantastic street photography. So having spoken about the last mile from Varanasi, let's go on a Kashi Yatra. It's full of boats. So a small little postcard a kid was selling, and boats. Saffron, it's a land of saffron, even on the walls. It's a land of boats. Everything and anything happens around the Ghats of Ganges in boats. The dawn is just mesmerizingly beautiful. I've visited Varanasi quite a few times, and every time we go a different, every day, the colors change. What you see in the skies are pigeons. They all come to you hoping that you're going to give them some food. And some people do it on purpose because they want to take some shots, like how Dr. Sanjeev did. Catch me if you can. See, you can also try creative shots. There was a basket hanging. This was during the Dev Diwali time, where enough and more such baskets are hung. I'll show you 1 or 2 shots of it later on in this. So, and positioning it in to such a way that the basket is going to just close and it's going to catch is also was quite tricky. Well, I caught it at least in this manner, if not in the basket, at least caught it in this manner, in the flames of, the aarti that they do.
Just a quick time check, 10 more minutes.
Sure, I can finish. Yeah. I want to break free. One of the beautiful images that you can shoot, assuming that you go during the golden hours, and similarly, come morning. In Varanasi, they have a beautiful thought process that they will welcome the sun when it comes, rises in the morning, and says goodbye to the sun, or pay their tribute when it sets. So both the times of the day, you see aartis. It's quite tricky, by the way, to shoot against the sun. A lot of people come here. As all of us know, we do the Kashi Yatra, the sacred pilgrimage. life by the Ghats. Anything happens beside the Ghats here. There are many types of Ghats. This particular one is a Dhobi Ghat. Lot of graffitis. It's a canvas for people, local artists, to use the walls, which are usually barren, to, paint things. Coming to this part of the deck, I just wanted to say that many people go to Varanasi also to offer their last rites for the departed soul. And this is one such situation where a man was offering it either for his mother, father, somebody departed. So the drops that he was handling through his kamandal was something very fascinating, shot with a really fast shutter speed. Same thing, the elderly people taking a dip in the Ganges before they walked up to the steep stairs to the temple. So when these last rites happen, some people also give away their hair as an offering. Or it could be in maybe because their prayers were heard. But look at the lady on the left-hand side and the expression that she has, wish my prayers are heard. And that's how I perceived it when I shot this. Maybe she has a prayer, maybe it's not been heard. And really she hopes that her prayer is heard. A delicate balance. For a man, apart from the heart, the crown of the head is considered to be the most crucial. And this lady puts the sandals of Lord Rama on it. So just think of the faith she has. Come evening, Artis, a spectacle to behold. It's filled up. No matter which part of the year you go, it's always filled up. But when you take a walk along the city of Varanasi, you get such, fantastic sightings of blues and pinks. They're all parched walls, so many colors, graffitis, children. And again, a care for a shave. Again, there's a nice light blue color along with the inclusion of staircases. Luckily, one of the Varanasi visits, the Kumbh Mela, had just finished. So this sadhu, they're called the Naga sadhus, with so many beads. I don't know him. That must be weighing 20 kgs. He was saying, "Why don't you come home? Aa jaiye, hamare ghar." Nagata, they are usually not. Some of them don't wear clothes, and it's very important to be aware that when you shoot them, you have to respect their privacy and shoot them accordingly. Here, the man, I found this image interesting because everybody was in saffron, and this particular sadhu was, completely covered. He was completely covered in vibhuti, the white powder. And these are scenes, right, when you walk around any town, but especially in Varanasi, it's a confluence of life and death, right? As sometimes life happens, the other end, death is happening. This is the largest cremation ghat called Manikarnika. Loads of logs of woods get collected. And like we all know, the only constant. So it is something that people are accepting of there, right? Because they think that by burning a dear one in Kashi, salvation is achieved. So a lot of people want their dear ones to go there and get their final rites done. So Varanasi, when I've gone there 4 or 5 times, it looks peaceful from the outside, but it's very turbulent from the inside. Right? So something about the place. But at the same time, life goes on. Dev Diwali happens. Huge amount of lamps are lit everywhere along the ghats. So it is a fantastic confluence of, two sides of the coin of life, as I would say. One end, there is Dev Diwali happening. The other end, people are getting cremated. So going to Kashi is truly a transforming journey, like Ladakh was for me. So assuming that we have 3-4 minutes left, I just want to tell you one more thing about street photography. People form a very big part of life, streets, and culture, right? So these are called street portraits, and it's very important that we kind of try to also take some images. This is a Rabadi tribe from Gujarat. These are Wada tribes, again from the same village of Gujarat. It so happened that I met the same lady twice when I went in 2011 and 2016, and I found it fascinating. Obviously, she's grown a little bit. Same way this lady who creates lacquer. She works on lacquer work, between 2011 and 2016. Revisiting a place always is a good idea. Bonda tribes in Orissa, they are seen in Araku Valley. See how the left-hand side, we made use of light. We made use of the color blue, and it kind of gives a very nice impetus or emphasis on the lady. They are completely covered with beads, and that's all they wear. Turbans of Rajasthan, a huge portfolio of you can just go to Rajasthan and do a portfolio on turbans or attires. Naga tribes in Nagaland, they are seen in Kohima village. Again, all of them are all street images, and they're all street portraits, as I would call it. These are different types of Naga tribes that you can get to see. On a final note, aha, you're framed. Town of Leh Ladakh, it's young kid peeping through the wooden small windows Ladakh has, because during the winters, the chill is so bad that the windows can't be big. So this is how they try to avoid the chill during the winter time. So on that note, my final slide would say, as a street photographer in my experience, I think it is best to live through the emotions you feel, right? Shoot the way you feel rather than the way you see. See, everybody sees a certain element, right? What is in front, everybody sees. But the way you feel is what you should shoot, because that alters your composition. And in accordance, the images become more powerful or impactful. End of the day, what is a photograph, right? It's a reflection of who you are. And so if you and I go to Varanasi today, we would depict the same city in different ways. On that note, Mithun has already told me it's time up. And yeah. So guys, thank you so much for watching Concrete Canvas Stories of Stones and Streets. I'll be more than happy to help you learn any of the genres. I do all genres of photography, including wildlife. And anytime, let me know. And you can connect with me on these handles. I'm sure some of you know already through the chat. And I'll be more than happy to connect with you all. On that note, over to you, Mithun. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Hema. I think if we mentioned that Dr. Sanjeev was more on the Arctic, he gave chills. You gave us extremely diverse and a wide perspective, right from stones, where you said God is in the details, to street, where you're talking about cultures, and a lot of these things. As a travel photographer myself, I have lived it, so I can definitely vouch the statement that you made, that you go to Varanasi, two of us standing at the same spot will be looking at two different stories to talk about, and not just maybe the image might look similar, but the storytelling is what is important in a street.
Sure.
And I think since you are not watching the chat, let me tell you, people have loved your narration, people have loved your perspectives, people have loved the whole idea of stones which don't speak but still narrate a story to real people or real action happening onto the streets. I think that's really the takeaway for me. Thanks, Hema. Thanks for time, and Doc. Thanks. Stay back, both of you on the screen. And I think there was
Hema once again. Goosebumps. One word.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Dr. Sanjeev, likewise.
Thank you so much.
Let's have a deal. You take me to Swabal next time. I'll take you to all these places next time.
I have been to all these places, but not shot like you.
Okay, let me teach you then.
Sure.
Right. And request all of you to please stay back because we have a few more things to do. As some of you had some questions on, you are unable to attach the screenshot as per the giveaway messages that have been put in the chat. There's already mentioned what you need to do. Take a screenshot in your laptop, mobile, wherever you are, and put it across. So it's as simple as that. Don't worry too much. I will mention the giveaway, which each one of you is eagerly waiting for. Please stay back. In the meanwhile, Vinay, if we can have the third and the last poll before I hand it over to Shri. Okay, so here comes the poll number 3, the last poll for the day. Do you print your photographs at all? Right? I mean, options are pretty simple. Do you print? You don't print? You don't intend to print, or you not need to know more details? Please connect with me. One of my mentors, Anand Sharan sir, from whom I learned photography, had told me this, which is engraved in my heart, that the joy of photography is when you print. I'm pretty sure Hema and Dr. Sanjeev will also agree to this. The more you print, the more you feel happy about, the more you feel the sense of belonging. And it is not just printing for yourself, but it's also printing and gifting it to people that you care for. Instead of the regular gifts that you give them your photograph. It stays on their walls, it stays in their business offices, wherever it goes. It can travel around the world. Which frame, what
When
it
you
is, doesn't
print,
matter. What matters.
you know what mistakes you are doing.
True. And also, I want to highlight that if any one of you are into these photography salons, there are print sections as well. And trust me, if you ever become a judge at some point in time, when you look at the hard prints that are kept on a table, hundreds of them, it will be difficult for you to select the best ones, because it will be that good, right? I mean, your screens. Hema, I was talking to somebody the other day, and he told me that, you know what, when you look at my monitor, it shows a different image. When I go to a printer, it shows a different image. I mean, different colors. And when I see it on my mobile, a high-end mobile, it shows a different colors. Of course, it will. So there are techniques to do it. Will at some point in the future we will want to talk about it. But there are variations. But what is important is what gets printed is what you have clicked.
So Mithun, just talking of printing, I print a lot from Sri Kumar from Honeycomb, and he's been a regular customer. I mean, I've come to you very often, so I know the quality of your printing is very high. And honestly, I didn't want to show it in my bio, but I have a art store on my website, and a lot of people nowadays, Mithun, they come to me, they pick a image, and I then print it and give it to them, and they use that as a gift, either for their own walls or for somebody else. So a lot of images that I've shot have gone and adorned somebody's walls also. So printing is absolutely forgotten, art.
Absolutely. Okay, so if we can close the poll, Vinay, and let's see what do people think. Do they print their photographs at all? Okay, so interestingly, 45%, Shri, if you can come on the screen. 45% already printing, which is good to know. I don't print at all. You guys should print. We already spoke about it. Do not intend to print. I'm pretty sure we'll be able to change your mind once you do the prints of your pictures, whatever it is, whichever resolution it is, and you want to know more details. Two of you will definitely get in touch with us. There's an email address and details, that is coordinates, which are mentioned in the chat. Please reach out to us, and we'll help you with that. With that, I just wanted to hand it over to Shri Kumar, who is the Chief Operating Officer for Honeycomb and Photostop division specifically. Shri, over to you.
Thank you, Muthan, and hello everyone. I'm Sri Kumar, and I am the CEO of Honeycomb and head the Honeycomb's fine art print division called Photostop. And I would like to thank everyone for joining us today. And it has been a wonderful session. I would like to extend my gratitude to Dr. Sanjeev Managoli and Ms. Hema Narayanan for sharing a fantastic insight into different genres of photography today. It was indeed an eye-opening session on how one should perceive photography. And in fact, the style of delivering and sharing knowledge has been one of the utmost values to each one of us who are here today. Thank you once again. Now, on behalf of the presenters and the entire team of Honeycomb, we would like to take this opportunity to thank each one of you present here. Hope you had a good takeaways from this webinar. Now, I'd like to share a few moments of to tell you about Honeycomb and talk a few words. Honeycomb is a marketing communication agency started in 2008. We started as a retouching agency back then, and we were the back-end partners for mainline agencies. Slowly, we started into artworking, and now we are into different verticals like graphic design, video production, web design development, digital marketing, and Photostop, our fine art print division. We also do newspaper and art paper proofing for various agencies. And all this over a period of 10 years. And we started our branches in Mumbai in 2017 and Hyderabad in 2019. We recently completed our 16th anniversary this July, and our strength is almost around 110 people, our team. Now, since we talked about the different genres of photography today, I would like to let you know more about our fine art, how we relate with these photographers and photographs, and to let you know a few words about our fine art print division. What we do is called reclay printing or archival printing, as it's called, for photographers, artists, interior designers, architects, and even for home segment. We help them not only by providing them with prints, but also help photographers and artists in exhibiting their artworks in various galleries and exhibition halls. Now, these particular prints, they are printed using 12 color machines, and they are using archival papers and museum grade canvases. And these carefully printed artworks can last for more than 50 years without fading. We also get them framed and shipped across India and overseas. Now, we also tie up with various photography clubs pan India to exhibit their works. We have collaborated with various photography clubs and exhibiting in different cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad, Mumbai, Trivandrum, Coimbatore, to name a few. In fact, we have participated with clubs with Dr. Sanjeev with wildlife action photography, and with Hema for the Wanderlust exhibition, which we had earlier done. Now, we then started the Honeycomb School of Creative Studies, which, wherein we conduct knowledge sharing seminars, photography workshops, and webinars by various photographers and artists who excels in different genres. And I would like to let you know that all the participants of this webinar, they will receive a discount coupon to get their prints done from us, and that can be availed till the 31st of this month. You can also contact me on the number which is provided in the chat. And now that's it from me. And thank you all once again. And over to you, Mithun.
Shri, I think that's like a double bonanza. I was just going to talk about the giveaway, and you just mentioned there is a coupon for printing as well. So,
Yes.
all this information, if you cannot gather from the chat, don't worry. You will get a follow-up email with all those details. Please reach out to Sri Kumar and the print
So
division.
the coupons apply for panelists and speakers too.
Sure, it does.
I thought it was only for the audience.
No, you are regularly printing, so of course yes. But yeah, so jokes apart, thanks, Sri. We see a lot of questions already. There's a QR code which has been flashing on your screen. I'll just keep it for 30 seconds for you to give the feedback. This is the QR code for feedback. If you like the webinar or there are some things that you want to learn in the future, so there are some questions. You can do it at your convenience. Please scan this QR code. And I will come to the giveaway. Yeah, before that, Sanisha reminds me that there is a link already mentioned into the chat. You can use that as well for the feedback. Do you guys want to know what the giveaway is? If yes, please put it onto the chat. Let's see some excitement. Don't worry about, you are not able to attach, all those things will be sorted out. Please do let us know if you are interested. Shreya, I already see so many of them already saying yes, excited. Obviously, of course. Okay, so let me not take too much of time. It's a book. It's a hard copy book that's going to be given as a giveaway. The book is called as Think Like a Street Photographer by Matt Stewart. Okay, it's called as Think Like a Street Photographer by Matt Stewart. It's a book that's going to be part of the giveaway. Of course, it's going to be only one book, one lucky winner who gets it. We will hope that you read the book, you get inspired. You have seen Hema presenting. We will have some more stuff on the street photography, travel photography, and other genres pretty soon. The details are already in the chat. There's a poster that you are seeing. So that's the book that will be given. We're not going to announce the winners right now because you'll have to do those things that is already mentioned in the chat as part of those 4 points. Just keep connected with us on our social media handles. In a day or two, we will definitely let all of you know who the lucky winner is. That's our promise. Uh, and I'm pretty sure you're excited. Hema, I don't know if you have read this book, or Dr. Sanjeev, have you read this book? But it's a fabulous book
Yeah.
on street
I
photography.
already think like a photographer, street photographer. So, but I think it will be good to see what the book says.
Yeah. So Mahesh, your question on name of the book, it's there on the screen if you can see. Think like a street photographer by Matt Stewart. Okay. Okay, so let me now go back to the questions. There were a lot of questions. In the interest of time, I will definitely pick up some. Some of them are already been answered. Some of them are duplicates. So let me go with you, Doc, first, if you can answer. There have been a lot of questions on which equipments have you used, not as in the exifs, but the equipments as in lenses, what kind of any kind of filters that you have used, and also if you want to answer that.
No filters. As I said, I use Canon gear, so I was carrying 3 cameras with me: the R5, the R6 Mark II, and 1DX Mark II. And all these are weather resistant, so until they fall in water, they keep working. Temperatures are not an issue here. The only thing here is the batteries can drain off faster, so you have to keep charging them more repeatedly than you do in Bangalore. Lenses I carried was 10-18, 50 mm, 70-200, 300 mm, and 600 mm. So there's a lot of equipment I was carrying. And then again, my mobile phone, my iPhone 12, the old iPhone 12. I wish I had carried a better mobile phone, but I never thought I would be doing this photography with a mobile phone. That is more handy in difficult circumstances. By the time you pick up your camera and change the lens and all, the scene is gone. So sometimes you want to make frames, you can't make because the ship is continuously moving. So or the ice is continuously moving. You want to take something in foreground or background. So one of the most handy cameras should always be there. And what I would tell the participants is, in case you are going to a place like this, and you should carry a point and shoot also. It's quite handy sometimes when because by the time you do adjustments in your DSLRs or mirrorless, it takes a little time. Here you don't have to adjust too much in a mobile phone or a point and shoot. And for landscapes or some similar things, sometimes that can be very handy. So if you get proper time, you can use the cameras, or otherwise even a point and shoot, a bridge camera, or even your smartphone should be enough.
Sure. So I think in one question you already answered 3 questions that people had asked. One on the mobile phone, one on the gears, and what happens with the batteries and all that. So I think that's great to know. There were of course questions on are there any effects of the overall environment on the gears that you carry? Do you protect them in certain cases, or is it normal?
It rained also, it snowed also. The splashes of water are there everywhere. So try to carry gadgets. If you go to such places, you carry gadgets which are weather sealed. And once we used to come back to our room, we had a hair dryer. Don't look at me now. We had a hair dryer, but we used to use that hair dryer to dry our equipment. So that is how we used to make them dry and moisture free again.
Yeah. Okay. I think there are questions. There's an interesting question on can the salt water freeze on the sea, or is it a fresh glacier water that you're talking about?
When the ice freezes, the salt is not there in that ice. Ice will freeze. So what you saw is sea ice, and believe me, the lot of that glacial ice we saw, we carried some of the glacial ice to our ships, which can be millions and millions of years old, and we used it for our drinks also. So that is salt free. What I basically want to say is I have tasted that, and it is salt free. The salt cannot freeze inside the water, so it's the air bubbles which are trapped in that, and they give you that lively taste in the ice. So it's all that ice can freeze. All the seas are freezing. So either South Pole or North Pole, the sea freezes. It's all Arctic Sea that freezes there. Whatever ice you saw was all sea ice. Only the glaciers are salt-free. So the sea ice is basically tasteless, but it freezes.
Okay. Great to know. Ruben was specifically interested to know on the shaky zodiac that you spoke about, and because it's so much bone chilling cold, how do you really get to manage sharp photos?
No, I don't know. Once you get used to it, you will be able to. You have to you have to put little more attempts. You may sometimes, the best photographs we sometimes lose also because certainly the boat moves, the zodiac moves. But the new mirrorless cameras, the best part is the eye focus. So if you put your phone on eye focus, if it moves also, it doesn't leave the focus. So out of earlier what older cameras, we never used to have so many keepers in such a shaky boat. Now we have more keepers as compared to the earlier age cameras. So we can do it. We can do it. And I was using 600 mm, the heaviest of the Canon lenses, and I have the old one IS2. And I am not a giant guy, so and with the TC and 1DX Mark II, it will weigh somewhere around 7 kgs. And I did it handed. So there's no tripod. It happens. If you have it can happen only if there is one thing you have in your mind, passion. It will happen.
I think that's the most important word, passion. So everything else will go under it.
Yeah.
Right. Any teleconverters that you used?
Yeah, I use 1.4 and 2x also. So when we are on ship, we need teleconverters because we are really quite far from the animal or a bird or whatever it is. So definitely we have to use teleconverters. Light is not a problem, as I said. Light is not a problem, and being a white background, the shutter speeds can go to very high speeds. So we can always use teleconverters very easily. Only when the low light conditions are there, we don't use teleconverters. Here we can bring down the apertures to f8, f9, f11 also, and we can use teleconverters also very easily.
Right. Anita wants to know, is there any safe distance to photograph the polar bears, since you said they are dangerous animals?
Yes, polar bears are extremely dangerous animals, and but till date, what I learned from my crew members is in last 20 years since the expeditions have started, not a single casualty has happened. And this is because you have to be with a team, your guide, you listen to your guide. And they will do it everything very carefully. And we maintain quite, as I told, I used 600 mm. So we were at, and these are huge animals. And then some of the photographs that I showed were crop for composition also. So they were not, exactly touching them. We were at quite a safe distance. And they are not interested. If they have their own food and everything is there, they are not interested in human beings, first of all. We are interested in them. And the thing is, the boat they carry, each guide has a gun and a sound pistol. So if required, they will make a big blast sound, and usually they run away. Or they will, in case a need arises, there is nothing like you get jailed for killing a tiger. If some polar bear is attacking them, they have got the freedom to shoot the polar bear. So, but this never happened till date with the tourists, because those guides are very well trained, and really they're quite well experienced. I wish our guides also get the same training in India, where we do the tiger tourism and we go very close to tigers. It's not like that. We maintain very, very safe distance. And you have seen that. Some of my 200 mm photographs, if you see, where the complete colony of walruses and the polar bear sitting on the other end. This was 200 mm. So you can now imagine what distance we were maintaining.
Right. Okay. So Hema, of course, there are questions on doing the frame within frames that you spoke about. So how do you decide which one looks better?
Oh, I see. It depends on what is in front of you. It can be even a person, for instance. While in one of the tribal villages, there's a beautiful lady with all her attire. So in front of it was a hole through her cottage. So therefore, it kind of at one shot gives you a perspective of the Rabadi tribe along with the house she lives in. So every architecture, for instance, like we saw Qutub Minar, everybody shoots. So it is a very interesting tool for us to have to frame the same thing in a slightly different way. So frames can be used, for example, people even use their own hands. For example, I'd gone to Masai Mara. We're trying to do a lot of zebras, and every day there are zebras and zebras and zebras. And how many compositions can you really make? So I decided, let me try and take a frame within a frame of the zebras. So I chose something of the car, the safari car, which looked like a certain rectangular piece, and it came out so brilliantly that it's a pano, and within that you got a bunch of zebras. So folks who ever asked me this question, framing is just is a technique to kind of provide your end subject a fantastic appeal. So it can be applied to any genres, including landscape. So suggests that it is very hard to kind of pinpoint what subjects you really you can actually choose. It's not like that. On the field, as you're shooting, you decide, hey, what if I look for a frame and do a frame within a frame? So that's how it goes. And I also had one more question I saw about equipment that I use. I predominantly shoot with Canon gear, and I recently got a Canon mirrorless R8, which I have started to test. And I'm not sure. It is a different religion altogether. So, after lifting all these huge, bazookas and big cameras, suddenly going to a mirrorless. But yeah, it's completely a Canon person.
Absolutely. I think Satish sir had a question on how do you differentiate street with travel images? He's curious to know. Thanks, Satish sir, for joining this webinar.
So how do I differentiate? So see, it's like Satish sir might know, travel image is encompasses. So street is a subset of travel, right? So when you say travel, every other genre like landscape, could be heritage, could be street, everything comes under the broader umbrella of travel. So travel has elements that are beyond elements of street. For instance, in Varanasi, when you go on the Ghats, it is a street. So it can be considered a street image. But at the same time, when you look at it, it is also shot during a travel that you did to Varanasi. So, and when it comes to certain instances where it shows more of travel. So it's a thin line of difference, I would say. Because any street image, if you look at the definition of what a street photography is, anything which is in the public space outside the domain comes under street. But having said that, since it's a subset of travel, it's a very close distinction and a fine line. So some of the images that I might have presented also falls into the umbrella of travel, and that is what Satish would have also noticed. But it comes on the street, so it's a thin line, I would say, of difference.
Absolutely. Deepak, he's from UK. He has a question for you, Hema, on the specific, etiquettes or the cultural aspects on the street photography. As a man, how receptive will women be for me to do street portraits, especially if it's in the villages of Kutch or Rajasthan or any place?
It is a bit tough. It's a bit tricky. And that's why when you go, he was talking about guides, right? So when I go to Gujarat, I basically work with a certain localite. So when you go with a localite, he gets some amount of earning, and it's sort of his job. But when he takes me and say you, for instance, to the Nirona tribe, which is a beautiful village in Gujarat, he has a comfort level with the tribes, and therefore that's not situation number one. And we therefore have a comfort level and we can shoot. But on the contrary, Deepak, when we go on our own, let's say we do not have a localite walking with us and we go on our own, it is a bit tricky to shoot, especially women, especially Islamic women. And there have been situations, as a woman, I can shoot, but as a man, it is tough. So one of the ways could be that you could go approach them, talk to them. And in other parts of the world, I've noticed that they are very sentimental about it. They are not very happy about shooting. How it works outside India. But in India, they are receptive. Like, for example, so the best thing to do is to go to places where people are used to getting shot. In Kumbh Mela, in Varanasi, Ghats, they don't really worry about it because every other day there are visitors coming there and they're shooting. But when you go to remote places, then that's when, like Araku village, I went to a very remote place, an Axelite area, to shoot the Bonda tribes. And for that, we needed a local light, without which I don't think the women with the beads would have, allowed us to shoot. So Deepak, yes, it is a bit of a struggle for a man. But having said that, it is not difficult. Depends on how you interact with the subject. Yeah.
Right. I think there was one small question on you mentioned about a temple in Bangalore. People were interested to know which
that
temple.
is yeah. So one, I think the one that I showed, the angle was actually the St. Mary's Basilica, which is in Shivaji Nagar. And the other temple which I showed was Bhoganandishwara temple, that is very close to the airport. And this is a marvelous temple if any of you just want to take a Saturday or a Sunday drive, because it has 5 dynasties. It has imprints of 5 dynasties in this particular temple. So for those of us who are from Bangalore, if you're going towards Nandi Hills, you take a left and go at the end of the road. If you take a right and go towards, nobody takes the right. Everybody is heading towards the hills. You take a right and that's where Bhoganandishwara temple comes. Remember the name? It's fascinating. I found it fascinating because no other temple has 5 stamps of different dynasties. Pallavas, Cholas, and local. So it's very intricate. Also, that one dynasty has made sure that it continues the style as they proceeded into the temple. So I don't know if that answered the question. Yeah.
Yeah, it did. Back to you, Doc. Questions on because everything is so much white in Svalbard. So did you have any challenges because the foreground, the backgrounds are completely contrasting? Were there any challenges? Because some people are saying that they went to Ladakh, they also experienced similar stuff during the winters.
I love challenges. No, it's absolutely not a challenge. Just you have to know that since your shutter speeds your metering, the camera reads it as white. So we had to sometimes shoot +1, +2, and sometimes even +3. I'm not talking about 1/3, 2/3. I'm talking about +1, +2, and +3 also. It's so wide. If you try to shoot, it will become black because of the shutter speeds. Understand? That is the reason we never shoot on f4, f2.8, and all. It becomes even more bright. So we f8 be the best. Or same thing. What we do when we shoot in snow in Ladakh or Spiti Valley, for example, when we go for snow leopards or the Tibetan wildlife, we have to keep them plus because it's so bright there. So here we have to read the histogram. I always tell every time, keep your histogram ready on your view and always see the histogram and go accordingly. Keep it to the right.
To add to what Dr. Sanjeev said is, 2 things which I use. One is exposure compensation. Another one is also trying to see whether you can focus on the middle gray region. It is hard in a wildlife situation for sure. Like Dr. Sanjeev, you mentioned it is a +1. It beats the wits out of many people because you're already shooting something very bright, which is white. And then you're saying we are saying put a compensation of +1. That's because when there is a lot of white in front of your frame and your camera is looking at white, what it thinks is, let me try to reduce exposure, and therefore it becomes darker. In order to compensate for the darkness that the camera could produce, you add the +1. So it is very interesting that on something bright.
At some places, like I told you, where the white is so white, and if it's sun every time, so if it's misty and all, +1.
Yeah.
It's little bright +2, and we have gone to +3 also at many places. Now, the best part of the new cameras, the mirrorless cameras, is when you see inside and you shoot, you can see what is going to come out. So as compared to our old DSLRs where we were not sure, we had to read the histogram. Still, being an old school person, I still rely a lot on histogram, but still, when you look through the camera, you can very easily see what is happening. The exposure compensation is very clearly visible in your eyepiece itself nowadays with the new generation mirrorless cameras. So people, if you are going to go for a new camera, please go for a mirrorless camera. It's hell lot of easy to carry it. Weight is less, price is less, exposure compensations you can read, and it's very easy to handle. So the focus for eye, animal, vehicle, person, everything, all the new AI techniques make your life easy, and you have to concentrate only on your composition.
Thank you, both of you. I'll just take last 2 questions in the interest of time. We already overshot by 20 minutes. Question back to you, Doc, on did you experience Northern Lights at Longyearbyen?
Man, I was in summers, 24 hours sunlight. Northern lights are seen when there is night. So you cannot ask this question, because for that I have to go back again, and it is one thing in my bucket list. I have to do it, but again we have to plan a lot for going this trip itself. I have to plan physically, mentally, financially for years together. So it's not so easy to go to European countries, and particularly just for the lights. Being a more of a wildlife person, still I have to go, because that is just not a time for northern lights. The winters of Europe, it's just not the time for northern lights, but it is also time for whales. All the different kinds of whales come there, and that these two put together. I'm planning, and then a lot of ice, and if I get some wildlife on the this white ice, I would be even more happy. But then I will have to replan it. Northern lights are not now. Northern lights are in winters. When the
So talking of Northern Lights, Doctor, it's also this year and the middle part next year, 2025, is considered to be the phase when Northern Lights are going to be seen the maximum. So a lot of people
are going to be the best.
The best among all the years in the past. This year and the next year. So Norway is another place, where many people are.
Plenty of places are there. I'm just wishing that I get information that it is there in Ladakh. So nowadays in Ladakh also, the day I get it, I'm going to fly there. So we can, last year we got it in Ladakh, and since there are explosions in the sun, so these are creating a lot of northern lights, and we are able to see in Asia as well. To be more precise, we saw it in Ladakh last year. So if something like that happens, it is going to be a very good thing for the Indian photographers who are not able to go to those countries. We have a chance to shoot them in India as well. So you can shoot in India as well. Please keep your contacts informed. In Ladakh, if something happens there, it's just a matter of a couple of days. It happens, and it doesn't happen after that. Please visit that place as early as possible the moment you get any information.
Yeah, predictable. Yes, so it's very unpredictable though. Yeah.
Doc, I have two comments to make on that. One, my personal comment, and one, somebody had mentioned it some time back. The first comment was, if you see it in Ladakh and if you publicize it like this, I don't know about the explosion of the sun. There will be definitely an explosion of photographers and general people, rushing and making it crazy out there.
I will tell you, it is not Bandipur. It is not Bandipur or Kabini. The people can't travel there that easily nowadays. It takes a lot of effort, as I said, mentally, physically, financially. So real lovers of a northern light will only go there.
Yeah, and the second comment that somebody had mentioned some time back, which I forgot to ask you that time, was, it was on a lighter note. The gentleman said, you spoke about global warming in the Arctic, and if we go and tell everybody that you should visit, you show these beautiful pictures, more people go, it will be melting much more faster than what we think.
Okay, now I will tell you one. Global warming, I'm not talking about the Arctic global warming. They have stopped global warming in the Arctic areas. How does that happen? Svalbard and the surrounding areas were mining areas. So they used to have massive mining in those days, and still there are those mining caves and all that have been converted into hotels now. So the other mining structures, they have been standing there as monuments now. No more mining happening in that area. Now, the second thing is, the biggest other problem that was happening in that area was whaling. There lots of whales were being killed. They were being defatted. Oil was being made, and that was a huge industry which was burning. They were burning all the wood there, and that was the local global warming that was happening. Tourism to sustain 1,000 people is very important. Tourism, after the tourism came in Arctic region, all the wildlife is surviving. Ice is surviving. All the other things are being monitored, because now we have more eyes and more ears. And the governance of Svalbard, there is no, what you need to understand about Svalbard is it's not a country. It is a governance. You don't require a visa to go there. It's a visa-free zone. So the people residing there are only the people who reside there, hardly 1,000 of them. And they take care of all the tourists who are coming there. And the governance is very, very strong there. And they don't allow tourism like free tourism. They have a limited tourism, and you have to take a permission to go there, and you get a slot, then only you can go there. They have managed that area extremely clean. You don't find even a cigarette butt on the street. Forget about the pristine Arctic Sea. You will not find a single net there. There's no fishing, no whaling, nothing happening in those areas. The local warming is not affecting them. The Tourism is not affecting them. What used to affect the mining and the whaling has completely stopped around 40 years back. So they have taken they are playing their role, and we are human beings. I can't say global warming, and I can't say that you should not eat food. So everybody has to survive, but they have found a midway to survive and at the same time conserve their Arctic area. So now it is our role. A little warm that we make Bangalore is going to affect Arctic areas. It's going to affect Antarctic areas. So my plea is, whenever possible, within your capacity, whatever you can contribute, please contribute in your own way.
Thank you, Doc. I think that was enlightening as well. I know the gentleman asked in a lighter note, but it was a serious
No,
answer
it is
to
not a lighter note. I'm telling
question.
you, it's a very serious question what they asked. Unregulated tourism is definitely going to lead to a catastrophe in Arctic area. His question was absolutely right. But then we need to understand, as I told, the guides are very, very nicely trained there. The boats are extremely nicely taken care of, well maintained, non-polluting. Unlike some other tourism areas, which he must have experienced. That's why he was talking out of his experience that we are producing a lot of debris everywhere. We are destroying our forests in the name of tourism. I completely agree with that. But the zone I visited, I was extremely impressed. And this happens when the governance is very strong and the people are enlightened like us.
Great. One last question. I know there are a lot of questions probably that must not have been answered. Don't worry. You can reach out to us. We'll have Sanjeev and Hema answer that for you. But Hema, the last question for you. Somebody is planning a quick trip to Varanasi. Any quick tips for them?
Yeah, so Varanasi currently is changed compared to what I saw after all the renovations and temple renovations and things like that. So I haven't gone after the renovations that the government did. So it looks less ancient now, is what I hear. So I'm planning to go this November during Diwali as well. But to be for as far as the tip goes, I think just be on the streets, just live on the ghats. Any hotel and homestays that are beside the ghats give you great opportunities because you can just step out a lot of steps and you can just get into any ghat where something or the other is happening. There are a huge amount of ghats, right? Asi Ghat is the last one. And there are a lot of boats. So anytime hop onto the boat as opposed to staying inside the city of Varanasi. Choose a homestay which is very close to the ghat. And don't miss two things. Don't miss golden hours, both in the morning and the night. Do not miss it. And don't miss eating puri kachori by the street side. It's one of the best and the one to die for. And don't worry about oil. Just eat it. You can come back and shoot. Jokes apart, for Varanasi, you don't need any specific photography tips as such. You just have to go out there and shoot. Everything becomes a frame by itself. Right? My only suggestion would be stay by the ghats.
Yeah, this winter, December, I did Varanasi. So my two simple advices will be, don't use a cab and don't use rickshaws.
Yeah. Walk.
We walked from the Dasheshwar Ghat to Asi Ghat and back. And the opportunities you get during this walk, you will just go crazy shooting. Yeah. Then you take a boat from the one ghat to the first ghat to the last ghat. So again, you come back in the same boat. Again, you will have a different experience. Walk in the streets, and you will and take some nice photographs of the food there when you are eating. The photography itself is a bonanza there.
Yeah, true. Very true, Doctor. Very true. Talking of the boats, there is one huge ship. I'm sure last tip for about Varanasi, apart from walking, don't ever get into any other thing, is a big, huge boat called Bajda. Bajda is the one that travels from 80th Ghat to all the way to the first one, because after a while, there is a lot of slush and the small boats can't, navigate them. So that is another thing that I took. And therefore, we could go all the way to the first Ghat. And then from there, come all the way to the 80th Ghat. The opposite side of the Ghats is where some of the Ram-related, festivals happen. So if you're going during the time like Ram Navami and so on, you have festivals and, things happening on the other side of the Ghat. So just get a boat, cross the river and go to the other side. A lot of things happen. People usually are on this side of the guard, they never go to the other side. So trying out the opposite side is a good idea.
And Hema, you were telling those birds as pigeons. They are not pigeons, they are the gulls.
Gulls, I'm sorry. Yeah,
They're the
gulls,
gulls.
gulls, not
So
pigeons.
the,
Yeah,
the, the
gulls.
gulls give you a
Gulls.
great opportunity. They are extremely
Yeah.
photogenic and they come in frames like crazy. They will make your
Yeah, yeah.
frames, believe me. They make your frames so beautiful.
Yeah.
They come close to you. They are not scared of you. They will make your frames very beautiful. Please visit Varanasi. Anybody who has not visited.
Let's do a photo trip together.
Yes, and join Hema if you want.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it will not be fair if I don't ask the last question, because the gentleman has been repeatedly asking me to ask Doc about when you were shooting the puffins. How low did you have to bend to shoot? Did you go on your knees?
For photography, I just don't go on my knees. I go on my tummy also. I sleep, I crawl, I creep.
That's what it
I'm in the
takes.
slush. I'm half submerged in the water sometimes. But these puffins were shot when I was in the zodiac. And zodiacs are not tall, so the we sit on the edges of the zodiac, and when we just turn around and we kneel, and our cameras will be resting or handled. If it's rocking, then we will handle it, and then we will be doing it. So it's almost near eye level. Since we maintain some distance, it almost becomes like eye level. We have to kneel down. When I came back, my knees are totally gone. So since we had around 3 to 4 layer of cloth, so that gave us some cushioning as well. But we forget that when we come back to the boat, and then again on the ship, and we see we have so many of abrasions on our knee. This happens. This happens. But yeah, you have to go down on knee. Sometimes we slept and we shot. So all these things are a part of wildlife photography. You have to climb on a tree. You have to go into the water. You have to sleep, stand. You have to sit on your friend's shoulder. Everything happens.
Wonderful. So with that, we would like to thank both of you, Hema, Dr. Sanjeev, for this enlightenment that you did on a Sunday evening on the eve of World Photography Day. I wish both of you a happy World Photography Day for tomorrow. And
Thank you.
everybody, in fact, whoever is listening. Now, what is very interesting for both of you to know, Shri will agree with me, is as I was watching the chat, as I was watching the attendee list, there were some stalwarts like Satya sir, Satish sir, Deepak, and lots of them who are still tuned in. But what is most important is around 75% of the people, despite of it being now exactly 2.5 hours from the time we started, they're still hanging around. I think that is only possible when either the conversation is interesting, or you're learning something, or you are seeing something mesmerizing. So this 30 minutes almost of a question and answer has enlightened. You have given social messages, you have told what to do, what not to do, from a street perspective, global warming. I think Shri, I'm pretty sure you will agree that we have covered right from,
Yes.
like they say, A to Z of photography. Wish we had more time, guys. We had 4 or 5 hours. Those of you who do not know Dr. Sanjeev personally, he if you sit with him, if he starts talking, I don't think he will remember that he has a clinic to attend and patients to look after. So, so that's how it is. So thank you very much, Dr. Sanjeev, Hema, both of you. For all of you, we have already given all the information. In case if you have not got those information, if you do not know what to do for the giveaway, please reach out to the numbers, email address. The coupon that Shri spoke about will all come to you in email. Don't have to fret. But we would, like Hema mentioned, I am reiterating it again. Please do come to the office in Bangalore, or if you're in Mumbai, go to Mumbai office. It's all there in the information. If you want to come physically in person to watch the prints, your prints getting coming out of the printing machines, or if you want to virtually send it and then get it delivered, even that's possible, pan India, around the world. So please do that, because I think that's important. And I am guaranteeing you, on behalf of Shri Kumar and Nofil from Honeycomb, that you will not go disappointed with the prints. That's for sure. So with that, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It was a pleasure hosting all of you. We will continue these. Of course, we'll not wait for the next photography day to happen next year. We will continue. So you will see a lot of offline sessions also happening. Stay connected with us on the channels that already were mentioned, Photostop official Instagram handle, my Instagram handle, or Sri Kumar and any one of us. The giveaway information, like I said, in a day or two, you will get to know. All of you will get to know, and you will definitely want to hear feedback. So please do fill the feedback forms. We want to know what else should we look at. Where there's a lot of things that are planned, including a photo tour that we are planning to have pretty soon. So all that will be pretty exciting for photographer community like us. Thank you very much. Namaste, and have
Thank you very much.
rest
One
of
last
the
thing.
Thank you.
One last thing. Wish you a very, very happy photography day.
Thank you.
Keep
Wish you the same.
shooting.
Wish you all the same.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjeev. Thank you, Hema. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, Shri.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Bye. Good night.
Night.